Literally got it yesterday, CG. And I didn't even buy it. Deco got it for me. Yeah, he did. I think he had it in a humble bundle, so he just gave me it. I was trying to find someone to give this game to as well. Yeah, so Deco gave me the game. It's funny because Deco has yet to actually play a spoopy game, and here I am playing what may be a spoopy game, except it's a visual novel from what he told me. I have no idea what happens in this game. He just told me it's a visual novel. Hi Crimson, hi the Loden. Probably gonna play this for a couple hours, or depending how I feel about it, because I've not played many actual visual novels, even though I own a couple. I'm usually just in the background while Deco plays them. That being said, I also did get, what, Phasmophobia or something like that? So hopefully there's a point that Deco and I and maybe some other chums can play it together, because that'd be fun. I'm horrible with horror games, so...
Yeah.
Ooh, excuse me. I wouldn't mind playing one, though, with friends. But without further ado, now that we've got some peeps in here, I hope this person's important. She looks pretty cool. But let me, I'm also gonna be munching on popcorn like a pig, because I'm hungry. Well, not really. I've still not had much of an appetite, but my stomach's like, maybe you should eat. So then I'm like, yeah, maybe you're right. No. The type of popcorn? Kettle. I like salty sweet. Anyhow, let's start new game. Choose a safe slot. This is gonna be a blind playthrough, so anybody who knows what happens, don't tell me. Because visual novels, excuse me, are like pretty narrative based. I love kettle. Oh, choose your clan. The Bruja, the rabble rebel against power and rage against authority. A seemingly insignificant man with significant ideas will join their ranks tonight. Venture. The aristocratic blue bloods embody wealth, sovereignty, and control. A top-level corporate executive will join their ranks tonight. Toreador. The divas seek thrills at art, romance, and cruelty amidst stagnant undeath. A tormented artist will join their ranks tonight. So, do I want, I'm gonna say maybe the everyday Joe, the bourgeoisie, or Twitter? I like their emblem with the rose. I'm guessing these are the routes you can take. So, let's go with the Toreador. Let's go Twitter route. Choose your name. Oh wait, this is who you are? Oh. Oh, this is who you're playing. Okay. Well, let's just choose the girl because I am girl. So, choose your name. Amanda. I usually just name myself Squeaky in these things. Actually, when it comes to like things like this where you can put in your name, I usually put a name of my RP characters. Like with Pokemon, when you name your thing, I usually just name them my RP characters. In this, I was thinking of going Cleric just now, but I can probably put in one of the game characters in here. But probably just also go Cleric. Ah. We'll just go Cleric. I don't know if this is a guy talking. Oh, it's slightly moving. New York taught me to believe in fate. That's bad. Had you asked me about fate back when I was human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we were all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now. By the way, fate? You decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that it would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate. A message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom. It was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm here still. You know, not reading the line properly. Standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. I'm glad you didn't take LaGuardia. Apparently it's just horrendous. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today could happen to be the day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York. And I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. Your phone rings. It's your boss, again. The setting sun that filled your high-rise office an hour ago is gone. The city looks like an ocean of light from up here, spreading for miles to the north. So, before I moved to Canada, I actually used to live like half an hour away from New York. So I find it funny that they mentioned JFK Airport, because I've never been to JFK Airport. I went to LaGuardia, and LaGuardia is apparently considered one of the worst airports in the United States, but I had a good time there. I think the worst airport is the Newark one in Jersey, but that's just me. The setting sun that filled your... Yeah, actually, I read that. You pick up. You're about to call it a day. Forget about the word of fintech and decompress at home. No dice. One of the investors wants to meet you. His voice is always the perfect mix of authority and sleaze. He'll come by your office in an hour. You look at the clock. An hour? He's gotta be kidding. Yeah, I know, but stick around. He's a heavyweight. You'll want to make a good impression. Fine. You grit your teeth a little. The boss hangs up. 2 hours. Might as well pour another coffee into yourself and figure out how to best use this to your advantage. You suspect everyone knows that no, you're not happy with your current position. That in fact, you feel squished against the glass ceiling that comes with the territory. Sure, your idiot superior might have gotten the job only because he's a CEO golfing buddy, but you? You're going to put an unholy amount of work into your advancement. Times were, you'd laugh off the idea of staying at the office until 9 p.m. You had a partner to go home to, a nightly Netflix and chill ritual to perform, complete with pizza or Chinese takeout. Ever since you moved up the ladder, though, your hours have only gotten longer. Food? Mostly at the company cafeteria, sometimes takeout, always in a rush. You praise the heavens for your crazy metabolism and dread the day it finally decides to give up. Rest? At this point, the cleaning lady who takes care of your apartment probably spends more time in your bedroom than you do. You flash back to your boss quoting Shakespeare to impress his new, extremely attractive and uncomfortably young secretary. For some must watch while some must sleep. So runs the world anyway. Drinks? Mostly with colleagues, and they all pretty much hate you at this point. Another flashback, this time to the most profitable quarter in the company's history. Still, the board decided that layoffs were in order. Your boss didn't feel like letting people know in person, so he passed that privilege on to you. Gotta hand it to him. He always knew how to pick his battles. Maybe, just maybe, tonight is the night it's all going to change. You decide to play the good looks angle. Nothing too slutty. You leave your blouse slightly unbuttoned, check if your ass looks as good as you remembered in your pencil skirt. Mirror says yes. It's not something you're proud of, but you've become too jaded to care. Knowing your luck, the investor is going to be one of two types. A self-obsessed Musk wannabe in his 20s, or a fat old pervert drenched in cologne. You hear the elevator ding. Time to get this show on the road. You take one final look in the mirror and fix your hair as the footsteps echo across the empty hallway. The man who approaches your office is not what you expected. He's slick, to be sure, but he seems to be more refined than your usual company man. Expensive suit, matching tie, and shirt, confident in his stride. Surprisingly good looking. That's not good looking. You lied to me. Good evening. I hope this unforeseen visit isn't too much of an inconvenience. God, that voice. You're taken aback by how smooth and strong it is. And his eyes, steel blue, cold, intense. He's all business. Professional, treats you in a manner that's appropriate of your stature. When he speaks, he actually looks you in the eye and not at your cleavage. He asks some questions about your work. Tells you how he noticed your input after taking talking to the CEO, another golfing buddy, and comes charmingly close to calling your boss an incompetent doofus. All the while, you try to guess his accent, but can't quite place it. European? Sure, but where from? I can't do guy voices. I know I've kept you long enough, but would you indulge and join me for a drink? Of course, for a minute there it seemed he wasn't that type of guy. But what the hell, you go with it. He seems nice enough. Besides, it's not like you have other plans. The investor has a limo waiting downstairs, and the driver takes you to a high-end restaurant in Williamsburg. A seat is waiting for you in the deluxe lounge. It's just the two of you. Even accounting for the literal vampires, this game is heckin' thirsty. You talk about this and that. Your companion seems to have a knack for history. So tell me, what would you do if you had full control of the company? You almost choke on your wine. This is your chance. You say what's been on your mind for months and hide it behind a veneer of professional corporal babble. Refocusing, listening to your instincts for once. Restructuring, kicking out your boss. Aggressively pursuing new markets, getting the hell away from all these people. He likes the sound of that. He leans forward, his eyes flash with intensity and something else. A strange emotion that wasn't there before. You'll do just fine. His words echo inside your head as you black out. You wake up. God only knows how much later. As you try to piece together what happened, you hear a familiar voice, the investor, or whoever the hell he is, talking to someone. You suddenly recall snippets, fragmented memories, his sapphire eyes intently locked with yours, his teeth suddenly longer and sharper. And something else, a feeling on your neck that takes you back to your last orgasm. A company trip to Florida, a sweaty room, a cutie from HR who doesn't work there anymore, and then darkness. Yes, I'm done here. Consider my debt paid. The investor pushes the other figure aside and walks away from the lounge, barely bothering to look at you. The door locks beside him. Some time passes before you find the strength to get up from the couch. You touch your lips. Blood? Did that asshole hit you? You try to stand up, but your head is pounding and your stomach is like a heavy knot, pulling you down. You didn't have that much to drink. He must have spiked your wine. This is bad. You frantically check your clothes. Pristine. Doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, a feeling hits you unlike anything else. Anything else you've ever felt before. You fall to the floor, writhing in an all-encompassing pain and hunger. The kind that makes your insides burn, that cannot be denied. You try to calm yourself down with a breathing exercise they taught you at some bullshit mindfulness course. That's when it hits you. You're not breathing. And holy shit, should your heart be jumping out of your chest with that realization, but it's not moving. Not even a beat. The door unlocks. You hear a startled voice. A young man in a waiter's outfit, his accent thick with an Eastern European harshness, leans over and asks if you're all right. For a brief moment, you wonder what the hell he's doing here. Everything is wrong. Then his smell reaches your nostrils. It's intoxicating. Everything feels right again. He holds out his arm to help you stand up. You grab it, firmly with both hands, and then you bite down. You sink your teeth right next to the old-school pin-up tattoo of Rita Hayworth on his forearm. It takes you a moment to process what you're doing, and part of you wants to break away. But a stronger voice implores you to keep drinking. One thing becomes clear. You are definitely enjoying this. He only struggles a little and quickly falls to his knees. You can see his eyes now, pale blue and confused. You only bring yourself to let him go once he collapses onto the floor. Your bite leaves a mess on his forearm. Poor Rita, all bloodied, missing half of her face. Did you just drink this guy's blood? You spit out a piece of torn flesh. Why? Where? What was in that fucking wine? Barely able to focus, your heart in your lungs still motionless, you reach for your phone and dial 911.
911 operator, what's your emergency?
I killed somebody. I can't breathe. My heart stopped. Okay. Show. Okay. Show. I mean, I don't know if he's dead. You didn't, like, bite his, like, veiny thing. You bit his forearm. That doesn't kill someone, does it? Let's assess the situation while I snack. So, I see what the game thinks is a hot guy, because he wasn't. Looked like an old fart. Takes me out to dinner. Takes a bite out of me instead of his prime steak. And now I booked the busboy. And I'm calling 911. I guess I can say I killed somebody. And the freaking out. Let's go for the option that doesn't immediately implicate me, but doesn't make someone think I'm freaking crazy. I can't breathe. I can't breathe!
Ma'am, where are you right now?
The door to the lounge swings open. The man who enters is not the one that brought you here, though there are similarities. He's tall, for one. Broad-shouldered, handsome. I'll see for myself. I'll make the call on that one. Dressed in an immaculate suit, but his skin is darker and the look on his face tells you he's not here to negotiate a deal. He notices the smartphone in your hand. No. Pass me the phone if you want to live. So I guess this choice didn't matter. The man's voice is persuasive, calm, but carrying clear threat. He's got the aura of a viciously efficient corporate shark. You find it hard to argue with him.
Ma'am, hello.
I apologize for wasting your time. My new colleague got drunk and is now trying to impress everyone with her antics. Good night. He disconnects the phone and places your phone in his pocket. For whatever reason, you can barely take your eyes off of the stranger. As hypnotizing as his presence is, though, it is also highly discomforting. Good evening, miss. I'm here to pick you up. Call an ambulance. Please, you need to call an ambulance. Someone else is taking care of that. The stranger approaches the waiter and examines his body. Critical condition, but he might live. Anyway, he then sets his sights on you. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you. And going by experience, they tend to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact somebody, secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. Where's FOMO so I can make a NetNavi freaking AU about this? I mean, no, he really isn't. So you see, where I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness. Okay. One that inspired me to come up with a 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. You get on my nerves once or twice? Well, I understand. All of us perform well in not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times, and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of a theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leads in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes and you're out. Say, I understand, sir, now. Every atom of your being screams for you to obey his authority. Fuck you, sir. I understand, sir.
I understand, sir.
Stick to that tone and you'll do just fine. Moving on, is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're all right? He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason, the sight sends a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you? My boss. Didn't it mention earlier that she had a partner? That we have a partner? I guess not anymore.
No, I don't have anyone.
The stranger squints at you. No family, no lovers, no friends, nothing.
A job.
Your blank stare tells him the whole story. He immediately stops prying and gives you something even worse than a look of pity. A look of honest compassion. Well, that makes things simpler, but let me be crystal clear just in case. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. What? Wait. What? So now I'm technically dead. Like, why? Why give me the option to let someone know I'm okay and then don't tell anybody? Okay. I guess. That practiced tone again. You put on your poker face and listen in silence. So unless you want your boss to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I'd suggest you cooperate. Don't tempt me. He smiles, revealing his fangs again. There's something absolutely sickening about it. Suddenly you feel overwhelmed by a sense of exhaustion. You pass out. When you regain your senses, you find yourself in the stranger's arms. The man is holding you as if you would a spouse who's had a little too much to drink. You try to break free, but he holds you close and gives you a cautioning look. Only when you cease your struggling does he let you go. Only now do you notice the change of scenery. You find yourself in a fancy lobby right next to the elevator. The place is virtually empty, save for a single concierge and some cleaning staff. Your companion gestures at the concierge as you pass, and he picks up the phone. The elevator arrives. The door opens, and the man motions towards the cabin. After you. I'm gonna scream. I'm not going anywhere. Where are we going? Where are we going? To a safe place. That's all you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to make this difficult. Just get in. Step inside the elevator. Going against your instincts, you enter the cabin. Smooth jazz is playing over the speakers as the elevator starts its descent. You are dazed, panicky, but somehow locked in place. On the one hand, you find the stranger's presence oddly soothing. On the other, you can feel your bodies tensing up with stress. You can't help but think back to the young waiter, the doe-eyed look on his face, the confused look he gave you just before. No, it's better not to think about it. Plus, you have other things to worry about, like the fact that you're being kidnapped. The cabin door opens to the same garage you arrived at with the investor some hours ago. The man shows you a black Cadillac Escalade. I don't know. Can I say I don't know cars? All cars look the same to me. They're just cars. Some cars will be like, that's a Chevy Impala. Freaking a 96 Chevy Impala. And I'll be like, that's a car. I know what you're thinking. Getting into a car with some strange man. Boy, sure seems like a dumb idea. Maybe I can make a run for it. I might be able to lose him. So let me be perfectly clear. Your best bet is to get in, relax, and enjoy the ride. What do you want, the waiter? I have money. What do you want from me? To meet your new superiors. You'll see. Superiors? Is this what a hostile takeover looks like nowadays? No more questions. Get in the car, please. Get in the car. It seems like the worst idea ever, but the man's made it very clear that you've no choice in the matter. What's your name? Can I at least know your name? You'll know it when the time is right. He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Listen, you really need to quit stalling. We're on a bit of a schedule here. The sun comes up in about 2 hours, and I don't intend to be here when it does.
Nerd.
Oh, shit. Hey, Digo.
How you doing?
I'm playing vampire, and so far...
I know, I saw.
Yeah. Here, I'll share screens. Hold on. This isn't it. This is it. There we go.
Hey.
I don't know which route you did, but I took the bougie one.
The bougie one?
Yeah, the one that you only play a chick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I have popcorn in my teeth. The sun. Oh, I just noticed a little
stranger boy here. He a stranger. He's so strange.
God, I hate when popcorn is stuck in your teeth. Okay. I just noticed the little bullets here are little moons. So he's like, the sun's gonna be about in 2 hours. Blah, blah. God, that piece of popcorn. I hate it. Oh. There we go. Schedule? What schedule? The kind that keeps you alive to see another night. He opens the car door and gestures towards it. You see no point in delaying the inevitable, so you get in. The door locks behind you. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. Did I die? Did I die? Depends on your definition of death. Actually, do you want to play the stranger?
Listen, I realize you have many questions. Tomorrow you will get some answers, but tonight, you need to do what I say. And right now, I need some quiet. Please.
You feel too confused to protest. You stay silent for the rest of the ride, even as more questions bubble up to the surface. One of them being, did you actually kill someone tonight? Staring out the window, you find it hard to focus and quickly lose track of where you're headed. You can only tell that you haven't left Manhattan. Another underground parking, almost featureless. Empty, the car stops, and the man opens the door for you.
We're here.
The stranger walks you to a nearby door. He opens it and motions for you to get in.
Go on in. Make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry, again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow, and you'll get your answers.
Behind the door is a small room. No windows, just a simple bed, and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner, accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. That's it? You're just gonna leave me here?
That's it. For now, at least. Look, this room is your best chance of seeing another night. I realize you've been put in a problematic situation, and it's not entirely your fault. Cooperate, and you might still make it. You will learn more tomorrow, but for the time being, get in and get cozy.
He gestures inside the room.
Try to escape. Step into the room.
What you gonna do?
Well, so far I've been cooperating. This one I'm being cooperative because he's like, I'm gonna kill you if you don't cooperate. Like,
I'll also mention to you, Squeaky, this game is permadeath.
permadeath. So if you die, you can't play the route again?
If you die, you have to start all over.
What do you mean by start all over?
You have to start all over.
From the beginning?
Yep.
Oh, so it like doesn't take you to the last option or something.
Nope, you cannot. There's no reloading in this game.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Really bold decision, but it makes all of your decision making a lot more heavy when you know that.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so far I've been cooperative anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because this guy's like, I'll kill you, so I'm like, I don't want to die. I just want to know what the fuck's going on with me.
You step inside. The stranger nods.
Good night.
Yo, what kind of fucking... Now you know you're in New York.
He locks the door behind you. It looks very sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there, filled with red liquid, no label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for now. You lie down.
Definitely tomatoes. Just have the tomatoes.
Just a fucking Campbell's.
You lie down on the bed, and it's a simple mattress on a metal frame. At least it's not too filthy. You think back to how this evening began. This investor. Is his friends with the dark-skinned stranger who picked you up from the restaurant?
Popcorn.
What happens now? What happens now? Unable to relax, you spend an hour or so playing out various scenarios in your head. Eventually, you decide to give in and let exhaustion take over. Whatever tomorrow brings, you'd rather face it well rested. Plus, there's no way in hell your boss is going to notice your absence tomorrow. That and maybe some of the restaurant staff will feel a pang of conscience. Someone will notify the police. Someone will find you. Right?
Ha!
You flash back to the waiter's tattoo. The bloody Rita Hayworth winking at you over a pale mess of a wound. You did this. You bit him. Drank his blood, and it tasted good. What if you can never go home again? You are so tired. Your entire body tenses up one last time, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, the refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating. But now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing.
Put the bag back. Drink the blood.
Up to you. What do you want to do?
I mean, I'm hungry.
You are hungry.
I'm hungry.
But it is blood. It's up to you. And you're eventually, I mean, who knows what you'll have to eventually do, though. Like, you might as well, but at the same time, I mean, it could just be bad soup, though. You could just, you know, maybe you're wrong about it being blood.
Maybe nail polish.
It could be nail polish. It could be very tasty nail polish.
This is better than biting another busboy. So I'm gonna drink the blood.
It is? Okay.
It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes like shit. It's coppery, thick, and clings to your tongue and the inside of your mouth like a film of dirt. You swallow hard regardless. The taste is foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it.
It's kind of like when you taste something that's absolutely horrible and you take a couple more spoonfuls because you're like, no, it's...
That's terrible. So bad.
Yeah.
crap. Oh, man.
You take a second sip, sucking the blood out of the bag. You feel something pull on your insides. You double over. You're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking for a place to vomit. Before you find it, a dark red wave washes over your hand and fingers. It hits the floor, splattering in huge, thick drops. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out. Not blood, not bile, not even spit. But still something in your body wants to push it out. Push it all out, every last drop. As you recover, trying to wipe droplets of regurgitated blood from your dress, you hear the lock click, and you see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday.
We just cleaned this place.
Immaculate suit again, that predatory look like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tamed hawk, maybe.
Good evening. How was...
He notices the splatter, your red hand, the sick look on your face. He barely contains a smirk.
Oh, I was catering unable to was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies.
Offer him a drink. Was that really blood? That was foul.
It was terrible. Probably the worst thing I ever tasted.
Aren't we picky eaters? Spare me your complaining. Come on, we've got places to be. I should have some water and a towel in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up.
This dress is Versace.
The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you have spent the day in. The man motions to it, politely, but with a stern look on his face.
Hijack the car.
It's not like I have a choice, right?
Correct, but your cooperation is appreciated nonetheless.
You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of the traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You don't have time to think about it before, but you realize that you're... hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact you're being held against your will, and you're not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to somebody else.
Yes, I'm kidnapping you.
You feel a need to get a semblance of control over the situation, so you decide to prove yourself useful.
But would he care?
What would he care about here?
I know people in high places. I have a worthwhile set skill. I can get you a lot of money.
What would the stranger care about here?
No. He's probably getting paid a shit ton for this, which is why he's probably doing it. He seems really indifferent and just doing it. I don't know what my skill set is. Let's say I have a
Talk it out.
Yeah.
Talk out each of them. What would your people in high places merit this man?
My fucking paws. No, I don't know. If I knew people in high places, I wouldn't have been in a job I hated being at until this very moment.
What can your money do for this man?
If I can buy him out, maybe he can like explain what's going on. But it seems like he's taking me to find out what's going on. So maybe if I can prove that I have a worth. Because if I can't buy them out, then it's like, what's the point of me? I think I might go worthwhile skill set.
Okay.
Listen, I'm an investment advisor and I have a lot of experience in fintech. Whatever your organization is, it might find use for me.
I don't even have any idea what fintech is, and honestly, I don't care to find out.
Fuck! A short pause.
I'll be frank. Currently, you're in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better.
Call him a nobody, curse him out, ridicule his lack of ambition. I don't know how many strikes I have.
Who knows, man? Is it even a strike system?
I mean, he said he likes the Mets. He's like, I'm a Mets fan. I'm like,
He does not like it if you fuck up too many times.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't know if you got to the Mets thing or not.
Yeah. He says that pretty early on. I'll say ridicule his lack of ambition.
Big words from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything. You push the right buttons. He gives you an absolutely furious stare through the rearview mirror. For a second, you spot a crack in his professional demeanor.
You don't know.
Here.
You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed.
Hi, Jaku.
Hi, Jacob.
You bitches playing vampire and you didn't ping me?
I didn't know.
She didn't ping me either.
I didn't ping anybody. I only pinged everyone.
I got her the game and she didn't ping me.
How dare you?
I didn't
Not
try to
ping
do a-
everyone specifically, like in a row.
I don't know who likes this game aside from Deco. And I thought Deco was busy.
Oh, it's not about this game, it's about the setting. I know a shit ton about this setting.
I know
have
New
books.
York. No.
No, I know vampires fucking in New York.
Vampire the Masquerade is a big setting. That's why there's a subtitle at the end of that.
Yeah.
For Coteries in New York.
It's tabletop bullshit.
CG also says I have a copy I'm trying to get rid of.
That's cowardice.
Yeah.
Cowardice, CG.
For a few seconds, he quietly fumes.
Your attitude won't help you make any friends. And in your current position, you definitely need some. Consider that. Preferably in silence.
That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You are used to people listening to you, or pretending to care about your demands, at least. The driver doesn't play that game, and it annoys you to no end. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get to your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper.
After me. No sudden movements, please.
You approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hole. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom.
Hey, Anthony.
Hey, Anthony. And a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they're gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls. The atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. This reminds you of your company meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judge not on her merits, but are standing on the list, passed in clandestine email threads between your male coworkers until HR found out, that is. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it taught you resilience. When others would cower, you would straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, you met the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence. God damn it.
This is a woman. She has no eyebrows. Where are her eyebrows? Am I gonna lose
Don't
my
worry
eyebrows?
about that.
Here, you do it, Jake.
Fucking look over. Good evening,
Oh my god, no.
to you, child.
Oh god.
The noble, cold voice takes you out
That's
of your
definitely what I thought when I heard that, yes.
head.
Noble and cold, you're right.
The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose?
I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know something really quick, just in case this changes anything, Jake. This lady is one of the most talkative people in the entire game.
Hold on,
No, I absolutely intend to change that. I was just wanting to do
hold
haha
on, I'm
funny
getting
start.
called weirdly.
Okay, good.
Hello?
I just don't want you to have me be like, boisterous and vampire, you die.
Listen, that doesn't do shit for my throat. Only Coach kills me when I go.
I got a spammy call.
Hell yeah.
Doesn't matter
I
though.
hate those.
The room awaits your response.
What did she say to me?
Good evening.
For what purpose? The room.
Say good evening,
Good
Kadir,
evening.
and to you, child.
Good evening.
Bitch, did you just call me 5?
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, miss.
You're addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Panhard, child of Michaela.
But that's a woman.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a title.
Oh.
Thank you, my sheriff. I'm quite capable of introducing myself.
She is
Lord of the lands!
she is
I am
somewhat
the
Queen
Princess
of the
Prince.
night!
She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear.
You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, but I understand your sire left you shortly after.
I had to just like crumple up this popcorn bag.
The rules of our society dictate I should punish you both for this transgression.
I didn't do shit.
Yeah, you had the audacity to be born. That's your sin.
A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience.
But I'm willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first.
Oh, her eye has like a glowy effect.
That's right, I literally control whether you live or die.
Is that
Don't
euphemism?
understand. Embrace is the remain silent.
You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here.
Shall we begin?
First off, the people in the chat, just because their name is, just because they have the title Prince, does not make them a boy. It is a title from the games. Also, it's more like in fantasy they use the term prince in a lot of different ways, like merchant princes and things that are also ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, continue.
Also, for this setting, it just means she runs the fucking city.
Yeah.
She runs New York.
You're about to be judged by the court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found the fledgling and what happened on your way here.
Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe?
A trusted informant who was chosen to remain anonymous at the time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made in the private lounge of the patrician suggests that this one's sire had plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to the safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her. Hold on, it's in my head. Anyway, most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently, the bag supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking.
The remark elicits a contentious chuckle from one of the gathered guests as they note the remains of the blood on your skirt.
It was not an elegant sight, but that hardly matters, I suppose. I just really wanted to tell you all. Moving on.
God, what asshole vampire were you bit by to have that be one of your things?
We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged her to join me, which she did without a struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when it didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might still be a bit bruised.
He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile.
The story ends with us arriving at Asylum tonight.
I thought that says Elysium.
Whatever.
All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder?
Thank you, Kadir. I take note of the fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. God, deciding life and death is so boring.
She turns her attention to you.
First, there's the matter of your sire. The person who brought you where Kadir picked you up last night. Who were they?
An entrepreneur, acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good-looking, pale blue eyes and some gray in his hair. Charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch. You feel tired and angry. This whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of a room full of strangers, it's almost too much to take in stride. There's no reason you should take it all in stride, but you do because if there's one thing your professional career has taught you, it's that. All because of that asshole, whoever he was. He never even gave you a name or a card. Nothing.
Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar?
No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we are done here.
He talked to somebody at the restaurant. That man. He talked to somebody at the restaurant before he left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow.
Did he now? That is interesting. I do hope the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his staff.
It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering you and takes pleasure in pointing it out.
He's fucking dead. Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince?
What is your recommendation, my sheriff?
The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another within the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty.
Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure
Bitch
everyone
told
is
me I wasn't anything. She said I want none. I don't know ambition. Bitch gonna die.
Yeah, I get it. She twisted your nipples.
Of course. They hurt.
He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kadir what all that talk of traditions and counsel was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you.
Sophie.
Anthony, you want to play Sophie?
Anthony's not in the call.
He's not in here? I thought I heard him.
No. He was only highlighted. He's
Go
at work.
for it, Squeaky.
Ah, I thought I heard him. I'm sorry. Okay. Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling.
What for?
She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve.
I'll go get my sword.
He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle.
What was that about a sword?
Excuse me?
I can't wait to get my nice beheading sword.
Maybe you'll tell me what the hell this is. You know to be professional. What do you mean?
What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crime is here. Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire.
Wait, what?
Oh, yes.
Is that why I've been drinking blood and craving it and shit?
And blood and fangs and blood and no sun and blood and bleh.
Oh, yes. I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred.
No, not that sword. The other sword.
Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called
I haven't used this one yet.
The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine.
Oh, I haven't used this one. I got it on eBay.
No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it, and your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat. You're surprised. That is often how it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences.
What happened? She just told me what will happen if I agree. She can probably get... I'm a sucker for redheads, but fuck this chick. What if I refuse? How will you convince the prince?
Sophie's great.
Don't do it. She's a woman, but kind of a bitch.
Sophie's great. Fuck you, Connor.
If I refuse, I know what's gonna happen if I refuse. That's a dumb question. They're going to kill me. I'm probably going to die. What happens if I agree? How will you convince the prince?
Hooray, I found it.
What happens if... Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive, hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality, and you will assist me, like a child would a sire. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you.
I brought my lightsaber.
When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition.
She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard, fastened with
fastened with a colorful sash around his blade. He about to go Arabian Nights on that ass.
It's a light scimitar.
It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again.
Loyal kindred of New York City, Carmilla, gathered here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling.
Yeah, eyebrows.
Their behavior since since being embraced has been disagreeable and does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions far more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can only be one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of the council's divergent opinions on this. Fuckers, not blindly agreeing with me.
She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man, whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference.
Fucking thin bloods.
I hold final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence, it is their progeny that shall be punished.
I don't know if it's a thin blood, but they say like the complexion's normal-ish. So like,
Yeah.
makes me think.
This is the new World of Darkness, so this is like, I think the last one's like 11th, so they're 12th or 13th generation now. So they're just, they're even more and more like thin blood little bitches.
Yeah, which is gonna be really fun whenever the new game comes out.
Yes. The sentence is final death to be resolved permanently. Kadir?
You hear a scraping sword and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up.
It has George Lucas's signature. 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th.
His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note that just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination.
And he's out the bat.
Goddamn Mets fan. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy, escape the gallery, remain silent. She said to ask to be spared and that she'll intervene, so let's listen.
But Squeaky, don't you want to choose one of the other choices, get killed, and have to start all the way over the game?
No! No! I'm going to
Jake,
listen.
I don't know if you were here for what I said, but this game, if you die, there's no resetting. Like there's no
I know.
loading a save file. You have to start all the way over.
I am well aware with this game.
Why did they let me... What? Dictionary. What are these? Okay, that's the log. Okay, well. Why do they have slots then?
Because you can have multiple save files, like multiple runs. You just can't reload save files.
You make your choice. Spare me, please. Don't make me beg. God damn it. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer. Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice.
It's stupid. It's fun. Fuck you.
Is there
Decisions
something
have
you'd like to
consequences.
say, Mrs. Lee? Oh, fucking Christ, like I didn't see this coming.
Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elite suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods.
Well, let's hear it.
Sophie takes a few steps forward, all eyes on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain.
And I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection.
I just called him a scrub! What the fuck? Yes, I am willing to give them a chance and prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hushed, just behead the fucker, some suppressed explanations of surprised.
Silence. I ask all of you make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead.
What is the race of vampire you're being, Squeaky?
The middle one, the blue bloody one, the blue blood
Venture.
Venture, yeah.
Assholes. That's why she vomited up the animal blood. It wasn't good enough for her.
Yeah.
Until thy prodigy shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things, for their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Mrs. Langley?
I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in the time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you.
That wasn't. Keep my mouth shut. I'm just like,
It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death, apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and now not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again.
I shall grant you what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child.
Yada 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 yada.
Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Better not fuck up, kid.
But my George Lucas sword.
Let my intentions be clear, however. If I'm to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Carmilla.
Camarilla.
Camarilla.
Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley.
Of course, Prince. Thank you.
Very well.
She turns to you.
What is your name, child, now that we're not killing you?
Cleric Prince? No, it's Cleric Pink.
Cleric, Prince. She nods.
Welcome to the Camarilla, Cleric. Now, this evening proved even more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I return you to your duties.
Oh, I wanted to see blood!
I need your other sword.
Of course, Prince.
He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery.
Man, I can say a lot with my eyes.
Well, Cleric, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to our new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conveniently handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. The memory of throwing up in the safe house is still fresh in your mind, but the idea that it could happen again is almost enough to reject the drink altogether. But there's no denying you want it. Need it. I remember what Kadir said about your misadventure before getting in the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try to take a small sip, s'il vous plaît. He pours it into two tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. It's difficult to take just a sip. Even though the taste is as foul as before, you are tempted to down the whole glass in one go. You wait before taking a second taste. You're glad you did. A feeling like heartburn signals that you can't keep it down. You spit it back inside the glass. Sophie looks on, intrigued. I'm not surprised. NYC caterers have very bougie ideas about what good blood should taste like. Well, you just need to keep trying. At Sophie's request, the concierge serves you 3 other variants of blood. The first 2 are as horrible and indigestible as before, both ending up back in the glass within moments of tasting them. Before the 3rd try, you're almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration, but finally, this one's different. Instead of mud and decay, a surprisingly rich bouquet of tastes. You feel blissfully at ease, and Sophie takes notice. Ah, there it is. Jacob, would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle, please.
Also, Squeaky, if you notice around the sides of your game,
Mm-hmm.
those little red tendrils have disappeared.
Tendrils? What tendrils?
There were tendrils around the sides of the game earlier when you were inside of the car,
I didn't
and that
notice.
was showing you needed to feed.
Oh.
He was being thirsty.
Huh. I didn't even notice. The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip, and another. You empty the glass. The dull feeling in your stomach and head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pours you another glass and refills hers. She takes a sip. You have a curiously specific taste. Is it the clover notes, the traces of caffeine, or that bittersweet aftertaste of melancholy? You taste nothing of the kind, but it doesn't matter. It's tasty, but not as delicious as it was last night. Not as intoxicating. It manages to silence the hunger somewhat, though. Drinking blood puts you at ease. It is a strange realization. The man
I
named...
love how with the way she talks, you can basically tell what like clan she's from, and I love it.
Mm.
Anyway, continue.
The man named Jacob comes back with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look and passes it on to you. It's somebody's medical details. Honestly, she gives me vibes of... I don't know if anyone here has watched I think season 3 of the Castlevania on Netflix. She reminds me of the chick that freaking is like, let me take care of Hector and turn him into my bitch.
Oh, okay. It's time for Hector's dick flattening.
Yeah, it's time for Hector's dick flattening.
Yes, dear.
What was her fucking name?
Oh God.
Oh, hold on. I think it started with an N. No, with an L. Lenore, it might have been. Was it Lenore?
Yeah, there was a Lenore. Yeah, Lenore's the one.
Yeah, her name was Lenore. Okay. Yeah, her. God, I hated the season 3 of Castlevania. I fucking hated it. It was trash.
Season
But
3
yeah,
is just
I
let's
love-
step on Hector's dick.
I love the way she talks, because it kind of shows that in this game especially that there are like I never noticed it in the actual like Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines. Not Bloodlines coming next, the other one, you know what I mean. Anyway, I never really noticed it in that game, but in this game they really like heavily go into each of them talk different and have a different way of thinking. And she is a Toreador, so like she likes putting flowery language to like all of the things she sees, like a very artistic like language to it, and it's really funny.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the ones everyone hates but also simultaneously tolerates because they're just artsy bitches.
Yeah.
Me, that one I pick.
Hold on.
You artsy bitch.
I'm
Do we
probably gonna
fair
go
enough?
for a thin blood in Bloodlines though.
Yeah. But,
Bloodlines too, I mean.
but yeah, she reminds me of freaking Lenore from Hector's Dick Flattening Castlevania Season 3. And, God, Castlevania Season 3 pissed me off so much because of what they did to Alucard. They did my boy dirty. Okay. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32 years old, blood type ABRH+, blue eyes, brown hair, no history of substance abuse, New Jersey native. Might one of those details be what makes the difference? Now that we have picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful in identifying your exact tastes. Should they be OR positive or Joyzy boys? But I believe you have more questions, no? Perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. How much do I have to drink? Where do you get blood? How will I know what I can drink? How much do I have to drink? How much do I have to drink? Yeah, how much do I have to drink? I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away? The sad reality is, it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop, paying for temporary relief for their life. but that is a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than most anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it can make you more ferocious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast that is part of our curse. Tomorrow, I shall take you hunting, and we shall explore this topic further. The blood you're having tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now.
What do you mean by hunting?
We'll go to the fucking blood bank.
That's where we're going. To the fucking blood bank. Did you say hunting? As in rifles, hounds, and funny hats hunting?
Nothing of the sort. Don't be silly. We are predators, but we are civilized. And most importantly, there is the masquerade to consider. I will get back to that. A hunt may take many forms. There are those of us who seduce kine, up to and including the motions of intercourse, if you feel like it. Others prefer to feed under the guise of a mugging or assault. Some have herds of retainers for the purpose of feeding. Drinking from sleepers in their homes is not uncommon. Blood banks are an option to the few that can tolerate it, though they are frowned upon. You will need to identify these opportunities and decide for yourself whether to pursue them. But make no mistake, you will have to hunt to survive.
Or the blood bank thing.
Or I guess you can go to the blood bank like a fucking plebeian. That's an option, too. You'll make me look bad, though. So best be careful.
The
I
concierge
have the right to murder you.
I love her. I love her only for this dumb voice that I'm giving her. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile and leans in to whisper in his ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty.
I am being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come.
The smile she puts on could tip any negotiation towards her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off her. You are under her spell, momentarily. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately.
Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit about more.
Wow, I can't talk.
I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions.
I'm going to go and get something to eat, so I will talk to you guys later. I might come back if you guys are still playing.
Yeah. I might go for maybe another hour or two, because I am going to have a guest over for dinner and stuff where we talk about stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'll be back in an hour, but if I am, I'll come back in here.
Yeah.
Later, my dude.
Later, Deco. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts. So to the vast majority of kine, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular?
You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a little bit more dejected than before.
Our clandestine ways help us remain safe. Allow us to explain away the occasional trip-up to the rational minds of 21st century humanity and dictate much of our interactions with mortals.
Is your driver a vampire too? I would assume so. Wait, what about my career then? What is the risk? What is your a vampire? Oh, that's about my career. So what you're saying is, who I have become must remain a secret? What about my job then? My career? Is it over just like that? I have popcorn still in my teeth.
Not necessarily. But you will need to step lightly. It goes without saying that you will need an explanation for your disappearance, and it will be a few more nights before I let you go it alone. You might be one of the kindred now, but that comes with some caveats. For one, sunlight burns us. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it. More like being dead than being dormant, isn't it? Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us, unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which under the right circumstances can often be the same thing.
Every time I think about the stake in the heart, it just reminds me where it's like, a stake in the heart, God, that'll kill anybody.
Now these guys, they're just like, nah, we're fine. Just take it out or else you'll never move again. At which point you might as well be dead.
There's a reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory, making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight.
So it's good to keep human friends? How can you trust your driver? Do vampires watch each other's backs?
Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then? Or at least useful? In moderation, and best if they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends? I haven't had one of those for many years now. Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliances of convenience, to be broken at a whim. Yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. Friends must remain a distant priority, at best for us to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority. With it comes influence and power, if you wish to reach for them.
She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the only one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality shall be. The car stops. You were in the city, in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building.
We're here. Would you like to see our lodgings?
My own apartment? Neat.
I get my own apartment? That's neat.
Consider it the first of many gifts that I'm able to grant in exchange for loyalty. Come upstairs.
She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable-looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks, but no windows.
Well, how do you like it?
Wait, can I choose another? Well enough, I guess. No, this is great.
This is great. Thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors, just in case.
It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You expect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Feels strange that Kadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side.
With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. Okay.
It's a brand new day, and the night is high.
Tutorial. Hunger is at the heart of a vampire's existence. To ignore it is to tempt the beast to take over its desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by the progressively thicker, bloody frame around the screen, like the one you see now. Okay, now I see it. As your hunger grows, so does the indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices, as you will be able to see it after pressing continue. Blocked off option. Continue. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you can take the risk to hunt and slake your hunger. Feeding opportunity. You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally, you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings, you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer. But that was before. The way you woke up now, you are fully conscious. No grogginess, nothing weighing you down, just a nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger. Not as severe as the last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows you the time. 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is NYC's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to look like now. You miss the sunlight already. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out by yourself. But then you come back to the memory of Kadir's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour and then switch to streaming services, almost as if the universe had a sense of irony. You catch True Blood in the flood of recommendations. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie.
Good evening. Slept well?
It's not exactly sleep, right? Like a dead man, like a baby. It's not really like normal sleep, is it?
I suppose it isn't. Some say it's more like being dead, but we wouldn't know, would we? It's no use reflecting on it anyway, except that this is who you are now. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself, your blood, its desire, and its powers. We will begin tonight. You are hungry, yes. I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There is only one remedy, the blood. The drinks we had yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way to slake your thirst. So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. You need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage.
No more freebies? Well, I'm ready to learn. Let's get started.
Such eagerness. Or is it just your hunger making you impatient? You will find that drinking moderate amount of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there is a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some might even become addicted to the sensation. But if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeding. After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct?
She gives you a sly, knowing smile.
That is why the masquerade is so important, and even more crucial when you feed.
How do you cover your tracks? By not leaving any. How do you avoid being seen? How do you select a victim? How do I choose who to feed from? Are there better or worse, targets?
Isolated kind are easiest prey, of course, but much depends on context. Hunting requires a different approach in a busy club than it does on an empty street. With time, you will have the luxury of finding your preference in hunting methods and prey. For now, I suggest experimenting in moderation. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out you risk the ire of other kindred on those domains you trespass. Lucky for you, New York City is more forgiving in this regard. New York is somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. DeWitt, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory is waiting for us.
The busy streets fills the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door to her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins a somewhat thin New York traffic. It's still busy in the way one expects only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have the time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline.
Come, park the car, Gregory, will you?
The driver just nods and Sophie gets out. You join her and the two of you walk through the glass doors together, then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back, then take in a few dozen chairs in front of it. The concert seems concluded. The patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue.
Let's start easy. A social setting like this would usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred, but consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel, but remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now let's see. Ah, there he is.
She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly, even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees.
Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How is your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl. Come over, please. There is somebody I'd like you to meet.
The young woman who walks across the hall can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd.
Julie, this is Cleric. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you, I'm positive you'll like each other.
The girl gives you a shy smile and nods towards the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what it is exactly Sophie expects you to do. You reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step.
If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, you know.
She puts her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks to you, embarrassed, but also hopeful? Wait, you're into that sort of thing?
Fucking Triadors. They just make people love it.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. She takes off her jacket, unbuttons her sleeve, then rolls it up. You see a tattoo of a cat in an astronaut suit, one feline eye winking at you.
There. Just enjoy.
A perfectly awkward smile and a blush. I mean, yeah, drink. You take her forearm in your hands. A quick look around confirms nobody's watching, and no security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. It's surreal. She's just given you her blood of her own volition. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. You tear away from her. A brief convulsion shakes you. Her smell. It's her smell. It's not right. A temporary feeling of bliss the girl felt when you bit her is gone in an instant. She's disappointed, annoyed even. She looks at you, unsure of what's the matter.
Come back, please. Just have some more. Just a little bit more.
The very thought makes you want to throw up what little of her blood you've tasted. You shake your head. The girl sniffs, starts crying, wipes her face into her jacket sleeve, and walks down the stairs and into the hall. The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly. Looking at her now, only some residual awe hangs in the air. Yes, she's pretty, maybe even beautiful, sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her.
Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with, Cleric.
Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you.
So, how did it go?
She was tasty. You people are sick. How did what? I tried, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand the smell or the taste.
Curious. I consider Julie's blood to have one of the most exquisite and unique bouquets in this city, and trust me, I have refined taste.
She almost sounds like she's offended.
Oh well, if at first you don't succeed, perhaps you need a change of pace. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off this time. Gregory, Flushing Meadows, please.
The driver takes the car over to Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts.
Also, they glanced over it, but getting bit is basically an orgasm for the other person.
Well, they kind of, when you get bit, you're like, man, that reminds you of the last orgasm you had.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they don't spell it out for you. Like, I remember in the books, there's actually a defect that your bites are agonizing to the person rather than orgasmic.
Yeah, and this one it was like you recall your last orgasm, and it was like, what? Okay, so what did you do to the people back there? What's this about training wheels? Why Flushing Meadows? What'd you do? Those people back at the hall, they were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that? She smiles with satisfaction.
That old trick. Just the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents. Some of them come from the legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. I can sway people or make them fear me. I see more of the world, and in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace, and more. All of these skills make me who I am, They also help me hunt.
What are my powers? We don't fucking know.
Being a pretentious bitch, apparently. Seeing how you vomited up the best blood in the city.
How exactly do I use these talents?
You will the blood to do your bidding. Many times you'll find you do these things intuitively, almost passively. But making the entire room focus their attention on you, that is tempting the beast. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It is all fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, but save those overt talents for the right place and time.
It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The light is surprisingly clear tonight, the sky. The stars just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city.
I feel like having a snack myself. I'll be by the fountain. Go look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood. But only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back.
Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them can work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis court's nearby? There's light coming from there, so somebody might still be playing a late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play out in your mind, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. Look for take a walk, but don't feed. So that's probably not good. Search for a victim around the park. Hunt near the decrepit pavilion. Let me see. Let's look here. Let's go for the decrepit pavilion. You make your way to one of the park's most well-known landmarks, the round skeleton of the New York State Pavilion with its two vaguely futuristic-looking towers. You don't get lucky with the skate park. It's not deserted. Instead, a group of skaters is gathered there, talking loudly and listening to music playing out of crackling smartphone speakers. Deciding to have a quick look around, you identify a potential victim, a sleeping bag lady, leaned back on a bench, a shopping cart full of what looks like trash nearby. Even thinking of that second option makes you feel sick. You decide to take your chances with the skaters, not even getting close to the homeless woman. You think back to what Sophie did in the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You single out a guy who's talking on his phone away from the gathering. He's having a heated conversation with somebody. A relative? A partner? It's not going well. This talk's over. I said shut the fuck up. Hey, you hearing me? Shut up. Call me when you get some fucking sense into your stupid brain, okay? He ends the call abruptly and almost throws the phone to the ground in frustration. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Hey man, I need some help.
Rough night?
He's got an angry expression on his face and tears welling in his eyes, but he gives you a curious look and even a bit of a shy smile. Yeah, you could say that. What's up? Come closer, let's talk. I got just the cure for that downer. How would you, like, fuck. I want to show you something is suspicious. Come closer, let's talk.
I got something that'll put a smile on your face.
He takes a few steps forward, away from his buddies, who remain totally oblivious to what's happening, but you see your influence fading. You take your chance and lunge. Your fangs sink into his exposed shoulder. He shivers and lets out a moan. His phone hits the pavement, and you hear the casing crack. His blood tastes like a clash of hot emotion and melancholy, laced with some artificial stimulant you can't quite place. An energy drink? A recreational drug? It's a strange mix. You hardly have the chance to savor it, as the proximity of the skater's friends makes you feel vulnerable. You hastily finish drinking and drag the guy over to the pavilion. When you turn around, you realize you're not alone. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. What do you think you're doing, barging in on my turf like this, Lick? Didn't mean to trespass, I'm gone. Lick, what kind of slur is that? Piss off or else. I love beer. I didn't mean to trespass. Sorry. I'm going. Too late for that, friendo. You want to leave here in one piece? You talk. Candidly, I know what you're up to, so you can shove that masquerade misdirection up your ass. Now better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you. I'm with the Camarilla. I'm here with Sophie Langley. Big talk coming from a chump. If this was someone else's territory, I feel like Sophie wouldn't give a shit because she's Sophie.
Basically, do you want to invoke, yeah, I work for the Camarilla, or I belong to them? Do I want to say, yeah, here's my vampire, where's yours, or fuck you?
I'm here with Sophie. I came here with Sophie Langley. She's my patron. Doesn't ring a bell. Sounds fancy, though. He licks his lips, exposing his fangs and looking at you ferociously. A nervous tick or an attempt at intimidation? I wonder, what would Callahan do to you if I brought you in, huh? Break your shins? Leave you out to be kissed by the sun? Ooh, concrete shoes, maybe. He's old school like that. Huh. Dominate. Force him back down. Why does that one look different?
That's using a power.
Oh. Okay, let's try this one. Enough's enough. You won't be intimidated by this asshole. Leave. Now. His countenance changes. A cruel beast one moment, a humbled pup the next. He walks away, just like that. How did you do it? Not wishing to tempt fate any further, you return to the Unisphere, looking back over your shoulder to make sure you're not being followed. Two figures are visible near the sculpture, a man and woman tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly. It's Sophie. Feeding, but this whole scene is set up so it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree.
Well, how did it go?
You're about to answer when the same figure as before emerges from one of the alleys. He looks at the three of you and a predatory smile creeps onto his lips. You're screwed, dumb fuck. You think you can mess with my head and get away with it? Think you'll be safe with your friends? Well, I have friends too. He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, that feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again, entrancing both you and the hooded thug. His shouts come out as a weak, confused squeak. Second, Gregory produces a wooden stake from a holster under his jacket and slams it into the thug's chest. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posturing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed.
I see you've made a friend. Curious choice of company, I would say. Who is he?
He said this was his turf. He knew I was a vamp. He mentioned a Callahan. He said something about presenting me to somebody named Callahan. Ever heard of him? She looks shocked for a split second, then recovers her regular countenance.
Yes, I have. This hoodlum is Anarch, then. Curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred last I checked. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Kadir tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make this unbound's acquaintance.
Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps him in the car's trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, but you're quite happy you're not in that poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away, but then you remember that Sophie has been doing this for far longer than you have. Still, the nagging thought that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing is about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice.
I will pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Kadir and the prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court.
Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. What's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to him?
The usual, I imagine. Interrogation by Kadir, probably in the basement of the gallery. A quick trial with the prince in attendance if she's there tomorrow night. A swift execution as the verdict.
This all sounds eerily familiar to you, and you can't help but feel a pang of guilt when you think about what awaits this guy tomorrow night.
You haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I would hope.
I'll need some time to get used to this. It doesn't come naturally.
It will, with time. You need to think about it less. Hunting is the one scenario in which you'll do well to trust your instincts. In moderation, of course.
She seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts adrift, and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment.
We will pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night.
Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory, with a body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like these in the past unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Though the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You learned something about yourself today, and it'll take time to process. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door, a moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time you turn the lights off. You think back to Julie. How many people in this city know about vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? Also, hi Benkin, hi Eclipse KT, how y'all doing?
Hey guys.
And then the thug you met in the park. If he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? More questions. You begin wondering if there's ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms like an old friend. Rest. You open your eyes. It's pitch dark here, the blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh, right, the light. You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie is waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand, The Melancholy of Resistance. The title's sure on brand.
Good evening.
I'm not going to ask how she got inside. This is her apartment building. Good evening, Sophie.
I hope you rested well. Tonight will be eventful, I think. Come, we have an appointment. I received word Elysium will be called again tonight on the account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. This should be a great opportunity for you to mingle.
She keeps talking as you walk downstairs to get into the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile while opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back.
Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there, at least those who usually attend. Probably some other important personalities you'd do well to at least learn about.
How should I carry myself when inside? You never told me if there's any savior Vavir kind of rules I should respect when talking to other vampires.
Knowing that you're among your superiors is probably the most important. In our society, status comes with age. Pardon my sincerity, but you are insignificant. Not even associating with me can make the fact that you've been kindred for barely a few nights be forgotten. So know your place, stay out of your superior's business, and show the utmost respect.
Keep that nose clean, bitch.
Thanking the prince for sparing you, and maybe having a friendly chat with Kadir publicly might show your gratefulness for being a part of the Camarilla now, I would suggest you make it sincere. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it.
There it is. She might have saved you, she might be protecting and teaching you, but it's clear that she's really concerned about her own interests. You step into the art hole with something of a bad memory. The last time you were here, your entire world had been turned upside down, and your existence nearly ended. But tonight, there is very little outward hostility. Yes, Kadir gives you a look that definitely intended to remind you of your place, but the prince, also in attendance, seems pleased to see you.
Welcome, Sophie, Cleric. Did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there's somebody else you wish presented to the court tonight?
Yes, Prince. They will be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently.
We don't have Deco.
Oh no. Oh no.
This better be worth the prince's time, Langley. The prince gives Kadir a cold glance.
Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He is a particularly foul mood tonight. Something to do with the clerics. Begetter eluding his grasp, I believe.
Ouch, that must have hurt his ego, even if his only reply is a crooked smile. The mention of your sire makes you grit your teeth in anger, asshole. Settling you with a curse that cut you off your career, cheated you out of your ambitions, offering little in return so far. You mention yourself that defeatism will get you nowhere. Mindfulness, the here and now, this is an opportunity. You will make the most of it, if only to spite everyone who doubts your true worth. The flaring up of whispers in the gallery halls breaks you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, the jumpsuit-clad inert vampire still staked on his shoulder. The show's about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room and nods respectfully to Kadir. The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive's eyes flicker to life, and he starts looking around in disbelief. Like a cornered animal, he backs out on all fours, keeps going in circles until he realizes he's trapped. Kadir steps on the man's chest and pins him to the floor. Why? Who do we have here? Oh fuck, oh shit, no, come on, don't. Silence. The sheriff takes an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he's a primal force of nature that's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shrivel in terror. The beast inside you shrieks, and you could swear it happens in unison with the instincts of some of the other guests here tonight. It's unlike anything you've experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. It seems like it takes all of the hoodlum's willpower to not crawl into a feral position and start crying. No, please, don't hurt me, man, don't. Did they have to give him an I love beer hat?
Yes.
I fucking hate it. You and me are gonna have a little talk downstairs at the prince's discretion.
Please, go ahead, my sheriff.
You heard the prince. Get up, let's go. He doesn't wait for a confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him, kicking and screaming out of the room. Conversations start all around you, some whispered, some quite overt. Sophie looks somewhat bored of the whole affair, her eyes wandering from art piece to art piece, clearly finding nothing to her particular liking. Torture? What could dear man? What happens now? So, what happens now?
It'll be at least some minutes before Kadir gets the information he seeks out of this thug. Why not mingle while we wait for him to break? Excuse me.
Sophie leads your side and goes to a corner of the gallery where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty old-fashioned, gathered. A concierge offers you a drink, still warm. It smells nice. Just a sip to start you off, a splash over your palate, coating your tongue and the insides of your cheeks. Nourishment. You're left to your own devices. You have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman that you recall seeing here those few nights ago. She has a cold but noble countenance to her. Their conversation seems to be casual. A loud, shrill laugh turns your attention to the bespectacled man who you saw with Sophie on the night of your judgment. On the night of you judgment. He's making the rounds, chatting up different patrons. You feel somebody's eyes on you. A casually dressed, plain-looking man stands alone near a column, watching you. He turns his gaze away sheepishly when he realizes you've noticed. Well, I was told to mingle.
All of these qualify.
Confront the man looking at you. Chat up the man with the glasses. 1 second. You saw it, Sophie, making rounds, chatting up different patrons. Let's talk to the guy that's been looking at me. There's something about this guy. It's not that he's staring at you. Most everybody in this room has at one point or another. It's how he does it. He seems shy, maybe even afraid. It's hard to find a secluded spot in the gallery tonight, but this guy has an entire corner of the room all to himself. As you approach, he's standing alone with no glass in hand, a worried look on his face. Good evening, mister. Larson. Or you can call me Robert. Either's fine.
I was gonna say I can take Robert for you.
Yeah, you can do it. Sorry.
Nah, just so you don't have to voice everyone.
Yeah. You can take him. Why are you standing alone? Why are you standing alone by yourself? Standing around by yourself like this?
I'm not hugely liked around these parts. I'm surprised you wanted to talk to me. Then again, you're new, so you probably don't know. I'm one of Prince Panhard's Primogen?
Yeah, sure.
I'm here. I'm one of Prince Panhard's Primogen. I'm here on business. In case the prince requires my insight. Usually it's so she can hear me out before ignoring me. Not sure if you were paying attention the other night, but when the prince mentioned diverging opinions on whether you should be executed or not, that was me. I was the diverging opinion.
And you were ignored. Wow, thank you. What was your Oh, I'll thank him. That's huge. Thank you. Even if it didn't change the prince's mind.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Listen, I don't want to be rude and I appreciate you reaching out, but word of advice, stay the fuck away. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as Primogen to be some kind of joke, you know? You talk to me, they'll notice, and they'll hold it against you.
You have a quick look behind you and see that a few of the kindred keep shooting you curious glances. One woman in particular, a redhead boasting a fanciful hairstyle, watches you disapprovingly.
Some of them already do, I imagine. Excuse me, I need to try and get a word in with a few Primogen members before Kadir returns. Enjoy your night.
With just the critical looks of a few kindred to keep you company, you start thinking about who to pursue next. You notice Sophie mingling with some other kindred, clearly in her element and not to be disturbed. Kadir hasn't come back yet, so you can probably still find time for at least one conversation. I still think chatting, She did say to show your thanks to the prince. So maybe we should talk to the prince. You approach the prince, trying to stay as respectful of her private conversation as possible. She glances at you as you step forward, her scrutinizing gaze mimicked by her companion. She addresses this dark-skinned woman before turning to you.
Excuse me for just a moment, Samira. Cleric, yes? What is it?
I wanted to give you my thanks. I wish to thank you for sparing me, Prince. I realize it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I wanted to express my sincere appreciation.
How thoughtful of you.
She takes a long look at you before she continues.
I didn't do it from the kindness of my unbeating heart. You are an asset to Miss Langley, to the Camarilla, and to me. I believe I made the right decision. Prove to me and the other kindred of this city that it was so, and there might be more in your future nights than survival and servitude.
The dark-skinned woman looks impatiently at you and catches the prince's attention.
Forgive me, that's all the time I can spare right now. We have some things to discuss with Samira still. Enjoy your night, cleric.
Just bow and leave, I think. Just keep it quick. You leave the two women to their conversation, which they get back to almost immediately after the prince turns to Samira. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everyone's attention. Kadir is back, and the hoodlum is with him. The sheriff pushes the other vampire inside the room. The vampire that threatened you last night is a mess. That stupid hat is still inexplicably on his head, covering some of his ruined face in welcome shadow. He's barely conscious. His shin is broken, you think, something protruding there, making the pant leg bulge. One arm seems twisted at a strange angle. Very little blood, surprisingly, but clearly a whole lot of hurt.
Well, Kadir, did our guest cooperate?
Tell the prince your name. It's Howard. And who do you run with, Howard? The Midnighters. An Anorak coterie, my prince, active for some time now. Though from what this one told me, the name is about the only legacy the group has kept over the years.
Anarch.
Anarch, is that what it is? I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be anarchists. Their whole thing is fuck the Camarilla.
Okay.
I see.
Hey Prince, I didn't mean it. I didn't know. I didn't. Maybe I should have said I was in the Camarilla then. I mean, I'm still alive, so it's fine, but a loud crack makes some of the guests hot up the gas as Kadir's slap dislocates the man's jaw. The spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor. This one is guilty of threatening a member of the Camarilla and claiming a domain without the prince's approval. That alone would be enough to pass Succ judgment, but he is also Anarch scum. My prince?
There can only be one verdict. Final death. Do your duty, Sheriff. Unless, of course, somebody would like to play at being a good Samaritan like our dear Langley a few nights ago.
The look the prince serves you and Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes it gracefully, smiling and slipping her arm under yours in a public show of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes for the window. Ooh.
Stop him, or do nothing.
I mean, if you don't I'm gonna assume that if I don't do anything, I mean, again, they like docility. Like, right now, no one gives a fuck about you. I mean, this might make a good impression and can show that you're an asset because you can dominate. But, oh man.
Out of all of them, I don't think normal stop will work well.
Normal stop's not gonna work.
I don't think so, because you're one of the pretentious ones that, if I understand right, because he's running around on all four, he's a gangrel, which are basically fucking animal people.
Yeah. So it's that thing of like, the first one's not gonna do anything at all. Might actually end up making me look bad. Do not intervene is just sit back and watch.
Yeah, that one seems like the safe option.
Because Kadir's gonna
Dude can break his jaw with a slap.
yeah. Kadir's gonna handle it. Let him handle it. And then Dominate, I feel like, can be a risky one because, yeah, it could impress them and show that you are an asset because you can, yield the unruly. But I feel like it wouldn't be good for Kadir because it's like you're kind of doing his job.
It's a little public flex.
Yeah, it's a public flex.
But I like the idea of doing it though, because you
Listen
already.
to Listen to your still beating heart.
Um, this might kill me, I feel, but let's do dominate.
The moment you catch Howard's eye, ordering him comes to you almost instinctively. Stop! He stops and looks at you with one eye, the other swollen, closed by Kadir's interrogation. A swift slash separates his head from his shoulders. The body slumps to the ground and starts decomposing in front of your eyes. The sheriff, sword in hand, gives you a nasty smile from behind where Howard used to stand.
Well, cleric, your eagerness is laudable, if unnecessary. That Howard fellow couldn't have hoped to escape his fate, not facing Kadir's expertise. However, I have made note of your show of loyalty on both your and your patron's accounts. I would like to thank Miss Langley for bringing this anarch thug to my and Kadir's attention. I assume all found the verdict satisfactory?
It's a rhetorical question and everyone here knows it.
Then I consider tonight's meeting concluded. Good night to all of you.
She steps out of the room and you see that many of the guests move to do the same. Sophie seems to be conversing with somebody, a serious-looking man in a trench coat, about what transpired. You probably have the time to strike up a conversation with your own, too. Kadir al-Asmai is still here for one, but clearly getting ready to leave. Larson is still moping around, and the other man you noticed before Kadir brought the anarchists is still chatting with the remaining attendants.
So Larson, he's like, get away from me. Kadir's getting ready to leave, like you said. So maybe not Kadir. Let's talk to the sociable man.
The well-dressed man has just finished talking to a few of the guests who turn towards the stairs to leave the gallery. He notices you approach.
Thomas Arturo.
Who? Pardon?
Is that your name?
I assumed you'd like to know. I know you. By name only, of course, cleric. So tell me, how does it feel to go from victim to executioner's accomplice?
I just wanted to be useful. Frankly, I regret it.
Well, I just wanted to make myself useful, even if Kadir had everything under control.
Right, nothing like a show of good faith in a public space. I get that.
He takes a moment to clean his glasses, completely ignoring you until he's done and puts them back on.
I'm sorry, got a bit distracted. You know, most of us don't need to wear these, right? I can see just fine without them, but it's a statement. Damn things keep catching specks of dust and other assorted shit, though. Never stay clean for long. Sometimes I think they're more trouble than they're worth. Don't you agree?
If they're a pain, why wear them? You like it when things are clean. They look good on you.
They look good on you, really.
You bet they do. Right, that was a nice chat. I have to catch up with a few other fellows like this gentleman over here. Jeannie?
He doesn't even give you a chance to say goodbye. He's already off, putting a hand on the shoulder of a mustachioed man nearby. It's about when Sophie also ends her conversation and walks over to you.
Interesting evening, wasn't it? Come on, Gregory's waiting downstairs.
She seems preoccupied with something and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city. This time you arrive at another building, just 2 streets across from your apartment. She brings you upstairs through a very nice lobby with a luxurious-looking hall into her domain.
Please, have a seat. I shall be right with you.
You take in your surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once, and a nouveau riche's living room meticulously combined together.
Apologies. Old habits die hard. Clearly some stick with you even after your death.
She drags on her cigarette and breathes out. Breathes. How is it she's doing that? Can you do that?
Oh yes. You might not know. It takes some practice, but you can keep smoking if you'd like. Other things too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. But I did not bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. That door in the back? The bedroom, similar to yours. I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I needed your best behavior to uphold my good standing with the court, I meant it. But that's not the whole story. I have your interests in mind too. That's why I've given you your own haven. Why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. But you need to trust me, or else this won't work. You can come here whenever you feel like asking me something. When you're in trouble too, though I hope that won't happen often. I would ask you to come here when you wake up tomorrow. I have something to discuss with you.
Okay, I'll come over first thing tomorrow night.
I appreciate that.
That silence again. There's definitely something on Sophie's mind tonight, but she doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet.
I'm leaving for another visit. Come downstairs with me and we'll give you a lift.
A quick trip, a promise that you'll show up tomorrow, and some polite goodbyes later, you open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting, in a new way, being dragged deeper and deeper into the secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about this thing you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcome change. I know they have this rest thing here, but I don't get what the point of it is.
I think because as things open up more, you actually like get to pick between events,
I guess.
and this is just like the next day button.
Yeah. Well. Night. Once more, darkness falls upon the city. You wake up, same as you have these past few nights, in a windowless room. As you pry open the reinforced steel door, you look out the window to see, invariably, a sky bereft of sunlight, and then it hits you. The hunger. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night when it's just not there. Given what you've learned thus far, you probably have as much chance of kickstarting your heart with jumper cables. You lock the apartment behind you and head over to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her, might as well not keep waiting. And hey, what else are you gonna do? Get in touch with your boss? He's probably looking for you, if only to scold you for the unattended files piling up on your desk. But what is he gonna do? Call the cops? Ugh, not worth the hassle. You're almost hoping the few coworkers that seem to give a shit about you are faking it. It would make things easier. A fresh start from the ground up, just like old times. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have so many times before, but feeling so disconnected, all these people, you're not one of them, not anymore. You're a vampire, kindred, and you need to carve your own part in this strange new existence one way or another. Appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building just as that thought crosses your mind. A quick word with a security guard and you're led into the elevator. Apparently, Mrs. Langley was expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait, patiently, as the footsteps on the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens, and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouetted against the city's midnight glow. She stares out, motionless, like a marble statue.
Sorry about
Good evening, Sophie. She doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state and looks at you with strangely bleary eyes. Yes, good evening. I was wondering, when you look out at the city, when you see the lights, hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about?
You gaze out. The lights and rain, the relentless honking below, music blasting from a nearby window, echoing off of buildings. Someone should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as an ambient piece. Other than that, though, it's business as usual. The sights, the sounds, the smells, you know them all too well. Sophie watches you. You can tell she's disappointed, somehow, but she covers it up with a courteous smile.
Well, not everyone can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning even in the mundane. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of the clan Toreador. Whatever that means, yeah. There are 13 such bloodlines among us kindred, though that number has been contested in the past, and these nights it seems that nothing is certain anymore. The clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in medieval times. The original Inquisition, if you can believe it. They use these to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about it, inescapable, originating from an ancient progenitor carried from sire to child. For the toreador, the gift lies in a sensitivity of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either where most cannot. A blessing on most nights, occasionally a curse. The sheriff is of my clan as well, although you'd be hard-pressed to see him as such. Poor Kadir, it breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still, there is a beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace.
Try as she might to act playful, you can tell she's genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quick to regain her composure.
Then there are the Ventru, known for their pride and a proclivity to rule over others. The prince represents that clan, as is quite common in our society around the globe. Where the Blue Bloods think themselves rulers, the Braja like to see themselves as preeminent revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion, while being slaves to their own temper. We don't discuss the rabble much anymore, not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think they were philosophers once long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight.
What's my kin?
What's my cutie mark?
How can I tell a kindred's clan? What's my clan? How can I tell? Say I meet a vampire for the first time. How can I tell what their clan is?
Usually you cannot, with a few exceptions, perhaps. For some clans, the uniqueness I mentioned bleeds into their appearance or disposition, but even that can be misleading. Outside of a few very specific cases, knowing one's clan is less important than understanding who they are personally, what drives them, their wants and needs, weaknesses too. Speaking of which, we come to the reason I wanted to speak to you tonight. It is customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize into coteries. Sometimes these are called by the prince themselves, or mandated by the fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about society, but also because it is useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other nonetheless.
What if I want to go at it alone? Where should I look for allies? Do you have your own coterie? Where should I look? Any suggestions?
Succ.
Yeah. Any suggestions on where I should start looking?
I was just about to get to that.
She puts on a mysterious smile.
I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives. Whoa, I'm yawning. Perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide. Lenses through which to view our own kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course, more or less.
You're choosing friends. Okay, who are they?
Alright then, let's hear it.
Who's on the list?
Eager to learn about them, I see. Good, I'm glad. So, let us start with Tremere. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers.
Blood sorcerers. You flash back to one of those nights when your ex would stay up late playing video games. Not a pleasant connotation. Sophie snickers.
Oh, child, don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using that word, their own, as well as others, to unique and potent effects.
I'm gonna say
My
vitae,
favorite
whatever.
Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. From what I hear, he is quite the scholar, very ambitious, the child of a noted Tremere here in New York, Aisling Sturbridge. Spend enough time with Agathon and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later.
Blood magic, intriguing. A scholar, sounds boring. A chance to meet an important person, then?
So by getting to know this Agathon, I can get closer to someone higher up on the ladder?
Yes, though not immediately, I would imagine. Aisling finds herself in a somewhat precarious position, both in the city and her clan. Every move she makes is heavily scrutinized, thus she has learned to tread lightly. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Now, this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeve. The Nosferatu.
The way she said it, you're pretty sure it should mean something to you. Other than sounding foreign, it doesn't ring any— You're fucking kidding me?
No wonder they make their havens in sewers, abandoned buildings and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like other kindred, the kind would have learned of our existence long ago.
Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you swear her skin totally took on an even more sickly color.
The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he is no Adonis either. Still, he has some talents and connections you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned Grand Terminal of Red Hook, right next to one of those Swedish shores. The name escapes me, the one with the awful furniture.
IKEA! Buy the IKEA! One of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me, the one with the awful furniture. Fucking IKEA. What, IKEA? You know what? I'm not gonna correct her. What connections does he have?
You mentioned this D'Angelo with some useful connections?
I was just getting to that.
I feel like I've done this twice.
D'Angelo does odd jobs for Kadir, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden, the kind of work that Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now, something to do with Kine murders, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might be just the thing.
She takes a brief pause to look out the window again.
Now, come the two more exotic proposals.
Exotic? As if the blood mage and the vampire detective were business as usual.
You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan, in touch with their beast in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions.
Doing her voice makes me sleepy. Doing her voice makes me sleepy.
Nominally, they haven't been a part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades. But the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familiar ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika.
When the 2000s hit, they just said, fuck it.
Her sire, Jezebel, was instrumental during the Battle of New York back in 1999, the very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain that they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated.
Should I contact non-Camarilla clans? Should I even? I got the impression contacting vampires who aren't in the Camarilla was frowned upon, but you're saying these Gangrel aren't a part of the sect anymore. How does that work?
It's not as clear-cut. The Gangrel as a whole have sworn off the Camarilla, but individual kindred of that clan can still hold our ordeals. Jezebel was one of them, before she became jaded. Besides, their domain in Prospect Park has been upheld by Prince Panhard for all these years, has it not? We consider them members of the sect, and they have, for the most part, kept to themselves. Perhaps it will take a young kindred such as yourself to make them realize where their loyalties lie. So you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But, speaking of a change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. She's a Malkavian. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. But those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has made them that has them appear to us as unstable, and that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves, and a true test of
Malkavian? I don't fucking know these words.
No, that's why I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you.
They're
Malkavian.
usually people's like fan favorites because they're all fucking psychos.
Of course. All the edgelords love the fucking psychos.
No, they're not psychos like that. They're psychos as in like they don't speak right. They're actually crazy. The edgelords are like the gangrel because they act like feral animals.
Oh, they're the other kin. Okay.
Might be taxing on the nerves, and a true test of patience at times. But their insight and intuition are unrivaled among kindred. As for Hope specifically, she is said to be a recluse. We have it in good authority that she can be currently found in an internet cafe, I believe it's called, in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address.
An internet cafe? Really? How quaint.
I really wouldn't know. But since you brought it up, be aware that Camarilla is highly critical of using the internet to communicate. The Second Inquisition made sure of that. And to exercise caution when at her haven. We don't believe in the internet. Do not use it. I don't care how badly you wish to watch cat videos on YouTube. You're not allowed.
You know how fucking hard it is to be a vampire when every dipshit with a phone keeps recording us?
I've noticed well enough that you have a World of Warcraft account. You're going to have to cancel it.
It's time to go stand in the sun.
Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave you to it. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits of your own. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me. You will need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you?
She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous compact car, a decent looking, if not luxurious, ride.
Stay safe. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last.
As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had in the past few nights. A blessing or a burden? Time will tell. With a list of addresses in hand, you consider your next move. Okay.
And now you get to pick.
Alrighty, let's see. I'm just looking at Discord really quick. Alrighty. How do you save in this game?
I think it auto saves, but maybe I think maybe hit escape.
Escape?
Yeah,
oh,
save and exit.
Okay. I'm guessing you can only do it here. Okay, so Hope and Tamika. This looks like Tamika. And this sounds like Hope. The Nosferatu. I'm gonna guess it's this one. Although he looks like Dan Avidan.
Whichever one seems uglier to you.
Probably even this one. Let's go for this. Oh, searching for hope. Oh, okay, I can just fucking click on them.
We actually could...
Sophie's mention of a
Okay.
vampire clan of blood sorcerers sparked your attention. One of them, Agathon, could potentially be your introduction into the bizarre powers. She's apparently holed up in an internet cafe in Lower Manhattan. Gangrel negotiate Neonite by the name of Tamiko's made herself a haven in Prospect Park. The Farrells aren't exactly a social bunch. She might be persuaded to join you. And then this is Gumshoe in the Dark. Secret associate investigating the murders. If you help him out, he might be persuaded to form a lasting partnership. Sophie suggested you meet Hope. Let's try this one. Let's go for Hope. It's a quiet, moody internet cafe. Half of its space serves as a comfy coffee bar these days, but behind a glass wall it still has a space dedicated to rows of PCs. From the street, you can notice tired adults in casual clothes typing away absentmindedly and some bored kids wasting the late evening hours on colorful online games. If Sophie's intel is to be believed, this is where Hope has set up her haven. One of the waiters is standing outside of the building, gazing at the sky with a smartphone in one hand and a vape pen in the other. You approach the man and tell him. I was supposed to meet Hope here. I'm looking for Hope. I'm looking for Hope. He releases a soft chuckle. Yeah, you and me both. The man slowly takes a drag from his e-cig, sizes you up and down in silence. After a long awkward moment, when you're ready to leave him be, he raises his voice again. Come, right this way. He heads back into the cafe and you follow his lead. When you make your way through the space with computers, no one averts their gaze from the spreadsheets, emails, Facebook profiles, or games of Fortnite. It's a common sight, one you wouldn't have paid much attention to a few weeks ago, but now it seems so unnervingly quaint. Would they still be spending their time like this if they were immortal? The waiter unlocks an unassuming door at the end of the room and lets you inside. You two swiftly make your way through a labyrinth of sterile gray corridors, taking confusing twists and turns. It feels like you're traveling into a different world, crossing one invisible portal after another. Eventually you reach your destination. Your guide motions you to enter a dark room with a lone source of pale light, a computer screen in the distance beckoning you to come closer. As you do, you hear the door shutting behind your back and a short chuckle echoing behind it. Is this the place? Nothing else to do but sit in a chair in front of the computer. The monitor displays a modern chat application. The cursor is blinking in the user nickname entry field in the middle of the screen, obviously expecting you to input your handle. After a conversation, you type in your name, a random string of characters, something goofy. Let's put in something goofy. Maybe it's your newfound sensibilities going haywire, but this place has a barely noticeable sleazy aura. Might as well go along with it. You input pornos collector and push the enter button. After a few seconds, the chat window opens and messages start appearing on the screen in quick succession. Hostage executioner. Just to be clear, I don't have a wank. What? Okay. Identify yourself in 2 minutes or get banned. The chat goes silent, everyone seemingly waiting for you to say something before proceeding. This must be a close-knit group. Better say something before you get kicked out. Looking for Hope. Is she here? Who the fuck are you? This was meant to be a safe channel investigating. How did they even get in? You get their location? Yeah, I'm gonna DM it to anyone. Oh boy. Yeah, you're gonna regret the day you decided to spy on us. Try to get the chat under control. I don't want trouble. I'm leaving. The waiter brought me here. let's try this. We've had enough of these trash-talking randoms. Time to teach them some respect. Your blood fires up. Ancient power starts coursing through your veins, fingers tapping the keyboard buttons on their own. You better stay quiet if you know what's good for you. You have no idea who you're messing with. You will obey me. The chat goes silent once again, and then it explodes. Oh shit, watch out, he started typing. I'm so glad I decided to log in. Would be so pissed if I missed this. You know, it's ha ha ha. Guess your powers don't work online. Go figure. You know your cheeks would turn blood red right now if they still could. Among it, everyone sensing. Yeah. I'm literally on my way to kill you. Yeah, sorry to inform you you're about to die. A split second after you read the message, you feel someone's arms tightening around the neck. The violent return of reality catches you off guard. A jolt of panic rushes through your brain, paralyzing you momentarily. You've come to the wrong chat room, motherfucker. A ridiculous whisper rings out next to your ear, and the grip under your head gets even tighter. You start struggling, but even with your newfound supernatural strength, you're having trouble breaking out. This isn't a normal human you're dealing with. Last words? Sophie sent me here. I can probably maybe bring up Sophie? Sophie sent me here! Langley? The hand holding your chin shifts its position slightly. Don't struggle or I will break your windpipe, or my phone, which would end even worse for you. Sounds of a camera shutter and light flashing. Did they just take some selfies with you? Alright, that's enough fun. I'm letting you go. We can have a talk. Don't do anything stupid. Miss Intruder, pretty please. The mysterious assailant loosens their grip on you and gently pushes you away. You quickly turn to take a good look at them. Let me just finish this. It's a pale blonde woman in her 20s, giving slightly judgmental looks while rapidly tapping away at her phone screen. Firstly, you notice her outrageous outfit, seemingly thrown together from random thrift store finds. Then you take note of her tattoos, a sprawling tapestry of odd patterns and designs covering every visible part of her body. At first glance, it all seems aimless, but it has a consistent sense of style upon closer inspection. Her eyes focus on you for a second. Gave you a scare, huh? Sorry, that's what you get for entering a lady's haven without her permission. And she's back to her phone. With a relatively small build, it's hard to believe you had trouble overpowering her physically. But then again, nothing is what it seems when it comes to the undead. And even compared to the vampires you've met so far, she comes off as an eccentric, curious presence. She shoots you another glance, noticing you're still cautious of her. Calm yourself, girl. I won't pull anything like this anymore. It was just I feel stupid saying it out loud. A vibe check? Vibe check. Vibe check. Yeah, I got a glimpse of your vibe on the internet, and in a dangerous situation, I'd gotta say I've got a pretty good idea about who you really are. I'm Hope, by the way. If you're here, you've probably heard of me, so I went ahead and skipped the pleasantries. But come to think of it, I might have skipped too many of those. Yeah, she definitely fits the description you were given by Sophie. I still can't believe you got so mad online. You actually tried to use your powers on people talking trash about you from who knows where? Jesus. But you know, I kind of respect the dedication. It's amusing. Oh yeah, credit where it's due. You're probably not a boring person online, going by your chosen handle. Believe it or not, among bloodsuckers, that's still rare as hell. Most of them are like clueless baby boomers when it comes to internet stuff. Anyway, don't worry about the chat. It was all a game to us. No hard feelings, okay? I'll introduce you properly later. On the monitor, the chatter continues normally. Your visit is like yesterday's news, no longer relevant to anything. But, look, if we're going to talk about you, you should have something to say too. What are you doing here? About time, she asked. Note to self, she really loves the sound of her own voice. I'm building a coterie. Sophie Langley sent me. She didn't send you. She recommended you going to her.
She suggested. Hesitantly.
I'm looking for people to join my coterie. Coterie? Been there, done that. Not interested. Unless... She takes a closer look at you. Her eyes go wide. Wait. Shit. Are you the new Langley plaything? Words seem to be getting around fast. Of course you are. It was obvious the second Langley got her hands on a new servant, she'd started building a network. Your emissions tell me that could really come in handy when... But Langley, that's a risky game. That kind of ambition attracts too much attention. Piss off. But then again, Fucking Kara. She seems to be having a spirited argument with herself, only parts of it audible. Is it just you, or do her facial expressions and body language change a bit between one sentence and another? Before you make certain it's not just your eyes playing tricks on you, she focuses half her attention back on you. The other half, of course, is still obsessed with her smartphone. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not interested in cooperation, but before I make a decision, I need you to make sure you sort of understand me and that I sort of understand you. And since I was planning to put on a show before you came here, I propose a little game. Hope absentmindedly spins her phone in her hands, considering how she put her thoughts into words. Then she approaches a switch on the wall and flicks it. Neon lights flare up, illuminating the room. You take a look around. The room is certainly unique. It looks like a butcher's room, repurposed to be a living space. The modern computer in front of you starkly contrasts the ominous industrial walls. At the back, there's an overwrought bed covered in velvet and meat hooks hanging above it. On top of the bed sheets, you notice what seems to be pieces of elaborate S&M equipment and a camera. Wait a minute. You want my help? Moderate my cam show. Cam show? Your eyebrows twitch involuntarily. This is definitely not the kind of request you expected to hear tonight. She notices your confusion. Take it or leave it, buddy. You just became a kindred, but you want to become my partner in crime? Show me you can handle yourself while watching my back in my everyday environment. She's serious. The show starts in 10 minutes. If you think yourself better than this, better walk out the door right now. I won't hold a grudge. I've got better things to do. As if to prove it, she looks at something displayed on her phone and cracks a brief grin. Another reply typed down with absurd speed. Tap, 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 tap. 9 minutes. It's now or never. Show moderator. Risk of violating the masquerade. Hi. Content warnings. Oh, yes. So, do you take the job? Show moderator. Risk of violating the masquerade. Hi. Okay, so Sophie warned about fucking with the internet.
Yes.
And at least she's saying she won't hold a grudge. Because she's got other shit to do. But it means that I could, if I have to, I'm definitely out. Moderating doesn't mean I'm in the limelight, though.
No. She's the one on the cam.
Yeah, she's the one on the camera. Hold on. Logs. I don't know how far I can go back.
Goes pretty far back.
Yeah. God, there's so much shit. I can't go all the way back to hear what Sophie said. Actually, wait.
No. I think it's only for the scene.
Yeah, she's supposed to hold up an internet cafe. Okay. Show moderator, risk of violating the masquerade, high, content warnings. Oh yes, so do you take the job? God. Because Sophie said to be careful of the internet, and if I fuck up, it reflects on her, I might just turn her down. But at the
same At the same time, violating the masquerade only matters if you get caught.
It's high risk, though. It's high risk, though. But I mean, if she's been doing this for a while, it can't be that bad, can it?
That also point out something Hope said that kind of makes sense. Most vampires know shit about shit when it comes to the internet.
Yeah. So it's not like they're freaking watching internet activity. Let's go if I have to. If I have to. Hope rolls her eyes further back than you thought was possible. If I have to. Not exactly an inspiring person, are you? She begins to sigh, but stifles it quickly and reflects. Sorry, I get it. You might have gotten a bad first impression of me or whatever, but I promise this will prove surprisingly educational. Alright, give me a second. She spends up a minute setting up the computer and you used before, then urges you to sit down.
An explanation of the moderator's functionaries is simple. It boils down to ignoring anyone who doesn't disrupt the chat, banning anyone who does, and kicking anyone who's causing minor trouble. 5 minutes later, she's already online, sitting on her bed in a provocative pose. It is a sex show, isn't it? Her voice, previously hushed, rings out with full force.
How are you doing tonight, hopefuls?
You peek at the chat. We're not worthy, Angel. Hell yeah, time to fuck. Ignore. You're tempted to try out the kick and ban prompts as soon as possible, but obviously you won't punish someone for a little dirty talk.
Thank you. Today's show is quite special. Please welcome our new moderator, Pornos Collector.
God damn it, it's Sunday all over again.
God. Lamal, sorry for sentencing you to death earlier.
At least the community here seems to be a bit more welcoming this time. Looks like this place is an established hazing ritual, or maybe they and Hope came up with one specifically for you. Who knows? You decide to stay silent. Eventually people stop riffing on you and focus entirely on the star of the show. Alright, let's start this one with a bang, shall we?
Hing. It begins. Oh boy, she's gonna do it.
So this is where the strip show starts. You raise your head, curious about what kind of performance she's going for. First, she opens her mouth and reveals her retractable fangs in front of the camera. Right off the bat, the online audience is treated to the sight of her wholly human set of teeth turning into a monster's maw. The image is both revolting and fascinating. She raises her left wrist for everyone to see, and then bites. The fangs immediately turn her arm into a horrifyingly gory mess. It's unclear if she used them to slash or bite, but one thing is for sure, no ordinary human can cause such damage. If an ordinary human suffered such a wound, you'd expect a geyser of blood to appear too, but it don't. Hope's technically a corpse, so it's impossible. She flashes a monstrous smile and starts smearing Vitae all over her hand and to maximize the impact of the violent image. Then she starts drinking it up. She makes it a point to look at the sight as gruesome as possible, looking like a hyena feeding on a corpse. This is a fucking Red Room stream is what this is. It's a fucking Red Room. The contrast of her behavior with her look of an Instagram model is stunning. Once she's done, she reveals her wrist to the camera for the last time. She starts making theatrical gestures with her right hand as the wound begins to mend. Shortly after, the wound is gone. It's like a magician's trick. Her left hand looks like nothing bad ever happened to it. Here's an appetizer. First blood to kick off the show.
While you're wondering what the hell is going on, Hope catches a glimpse of your bewildered face and turns into your direction.
How is that for an opening?
This is not a sex show. You're shooting snuff. Are you hurt? This isn't a sex show?
Sex?
What, are you counting on me getting naked in front of you or something?
Oh honey, we've just met each other.
If you're expected a strip show, yeah, sorry to disappoint. This is more like a live stream digital art. The erotic subtext is there, of course. You peek at the chat. They're going wild. She did that for free. I'd love to lick your wrist, my fallen angel. Nothing more than teetering a rose petal dancing in the eye of a violet.
But eroticism is not the cure here, it's vampirism. It's a new frontier, a living art installation. In the early 90s, a Japanese artist kept producing these videotapes with beautiful women committing gory harakiri. Those are an inspiration.
She bares her fangs again in a devious grin.
But I have no interest in auto-destruction or turning myself into a victim. This is a celebration of a body I love, not self-inflicted punishment. The audience came here to marvel at a beautiful vampire and her awe-inspiring powers. Mending wounds is just one of those powers. The people watching can pay to see more. Oh, and don't worry. The only things the audience can see and hear are the things I allow them to. We can talk freely. Just remember to moderate the chat, will ya?
High risk of violating the Masquerade. What a joke. She's blatantly breaching it in front of anonymous viewers. Still speechless, you turn your attention to the screen. Muy guapa. Alright, I feel generous today. Have you planned the next tattoo yet? I'll pay for the next attraction. Pink marshmallow covered in raspberry sauce. Just letting you know you're based. I know. Have you planned your next tattoo? I'll pay for the next attraction. This still looks okay. Let the guy vent his excitement. Seems harmless. A special message appears in the chat log, claiming somebody has successfully sponsored the first goal of the show. Hope smiles and picks up a bag of blood from underneath the bed. It must have been retrieved from a blood bank. She showcases the label to the camera for everyone to see. Drink up, drink up, drink up, drink up. Fuck pornos collector. Hope pours all the contents of the bag into her throat. You have no doubt it's real blood, but wonder why the viewers would be so satisfied with something that's so easy to fake. Don't worry, it pays well enough. You don't even bother to tell her this is not what you're thinking about. Safe to assume she knows. So what do you know about the kindred and the internet? Have they told you anything? While she is waiting for someone to sponsor her next vampiric feat, she decides to start a conversation.
Is there a vampire internet?
Have they told you anything? Is this the right time? No, nothing. Wait, what did she ask again? So what do you know about the kindred and the internet? Have they told you anything? They really haven't told me anything. They just told me stay away from it.
Yeah.
No, nothing. Well, that makes sense. Not the first thing you teach to a fledgling. See, some of us used to experiment with our own secure networks. We tried to build our own information hubs, social networks, everything. She's still working the phone in one hand while looking for something under the bed with the other. On how many things can she concentrate at one time exactly? Then one day, the NSA got in. Turns out elders never really got the hang of proper security practices, or the sigils they used to smear on their screens didn't exactly work as advertised. Then, of course, all the other three-lettered intelligence agencies in the world got the intel, and a lot of them decided bloodsuckers were the perfect new enemies for our post-9/11 times. The Second Inquisition came into being. Ever heard of it? A lot of our kind died just because they were too present online. Right now, the remains of our old networks serve as government honeypots, kept alive to attract fledglings and hunt them down. You post a certain keyword on Twitter or Facebook, you get tagged for investigation. You fit certain patterns, you get tagged for investigation. So there is a certain thrill in becoming an online presence without attracting attention from the authorities. She stretches on the bed. I hope you're still monitoring the chat. Of course not. You're not as good at dividing your attention as she is. You correct your mistake and check the recent messages. Are you talking to somebody? Can't wait for the real thing to start. These two monitors set up rules, call on duty on the screen, dropped at hotness. The only woman I don't hate. Hope more like my favorite hoe. Hope has crabs and gonorrhea. Okay, maybe I should look at the names too. Poonding, thirst victim, Jesse Hooker. Let's kick Hope has crabs. You give the guy a kick. Get yourself a normal nickname, douchebag. After 10 seconds, he's back with the same handle. Time for a decision. Ignore or ban. Let's ban. This kind of nickname only suggests trouble. You get rid of them permanently. Good job. She's keeping close tabs on you. Anyway, yeah. When the Nosferatu admitted to Camarilla their network got compromised, the elders went batshit insane. Internet communications became strictly forbidden. There were executions. A lot of people use social media to secretly contact their mortal families, and lovers got offed. That goes without saying. But if you weren't careful, even the most innocent web usage could result in being punished with final death. Thanks to user Dick Steele, the next goal has just gotten successfully funded. Let's go! Vanishing Act. Dehumanize yourself and face the bloodshed. She raises her hand, 3 fingers up, 2 fingers up, 1 finger up. The countdown ends and she immediately disappears from the screen like a ghost. You can still see her on the bed, but the live feed indicates there's nobody there. When you deeply focus on the digital image, you swear you can make out some unusual glitching where her silhouette should be, but it could still very well just be placebo. You ready for this? 3, 2, 1. A flash of the camera. The instant she reappears on the screen, she takes a selfie, sticking her tongue out in a provocative manner. The chat room explodes in cheers again. She is their vampire queen. You briefly wonder about her being glued to the screen. Is this a fantasy everyone is here for? A girl showing off cheap magic tricks while lazily browsing her social media? You realize you're way out of your depth here. Meanwhile, Hope decides to continue her lecture. Those were some wild times, especially in New York. While most of them have no clue as to our real nature, a lot of clandestine organizations have classified us as national threats. And since this is where the towers fell, the agencies are very much present around here looking for easy PR victories. The last SI raid here was just a few years ago, and it was a big one, stirred up the hornet's nest something fierce. But although it's 2019, NYC is ruled by someone who got embraced before World War fucking II, and the cam as a whole got really spooked and swore off the internet. Of course, they're not dumb and understand you can't really coexist with modern kind without the internet. It's a gray zone right now, like piracy, typically frowned upon, but let the one without sin cast the first stone. The SI is a real threat, no joke, but in many senses, the darkest place is right under the candle.
You take another look at the screen. We want blood. How about some bat stuff? Can you do some bat stuff? Can you show us next time? It's been a long, hard day. Give me a shout out. A familiar nickname pops up. Masochist Sama. This is spamming, so I'll kick. You give the guy a kick for spamming the chat. The message is deleted so fast, Hope might not have even noticed. A duty carried out well. You're surprised to feel an inkling of pride.
Yeah, fun fact about being a vampire, we can sweat and pee if we just exert ourselves really hard. Some of us can even orgasm. We can even cry, but only tears of blood. It's something
So
I always
edgy.
dreamed of doing when I was 14. So romantic, and it drives them crazy.
As proof of her words, a scarlet tear starts running down her face. The chat goes wild. This seems to be exactly the kind of thing they've been waiting for. Ah, an angel. Oh my god, she did it again. Hope your tortured soul finds some calm eventually. Fuck, man. Can you imagine USA assembling a blood-sucking squad that would just cruise by the border and suck blood? The very thought gives me the biggest boner.
Ugh.
Maybe kick them? Kick. And kicked.
Just to be clear, you realize what you're doing here is a blatant breach of the Masquerade, right? I honestly expected you to leave or inform somebody by now, but you haven't, have you?
You try to focus on the chat. A familiar nickname is displayed on the screen. Let's kick again. One more kick. One more familiar message. You double check. That's the same message you sent out the last time. Is he copy pasting it or something? Alrighty. Ban. Looks like Mr. Masochist needs a longer break. After you ban him, you hear Hope's voice. Good job handling that guy. Great. If nothing else works out, seems like you fit this job at the very least. In any case, the last goal has just been funded. It's time for the great finale. This is what you've all been waiting for, right? Yes, Queen. Her voice has changed. This gets close to the camera, letting her face fill the frame on the live feed. Her mesmerizing eyes focus purely on the viewers. You wanted blood, come out into the streets, claw out your neighbor's throat, slash their veins, and drink up. Yes, Queen, yes, Queen, yes, Queen. Hope's presence becomes absolutely horrifying, and it influences the chat in some incomprehensible ways. Everyone starts typing like they're possessed. Liberate yourselves from the shackles of ordinary mortality, make them scream, feel the warmth of their entrails. What the hell is she doing to these people? What have you gotten yourself into? Transcend your bodies, release the message of hope onto the world. She jerks violently for a second and then falls down on the bed like a marionette that just had its strings severed. She exhales loudly a few times and laughs. When she does, the room goes dark again. Alright, that's enough. Instead of continuing, she does something with her phone. The stream ends and the chat instantly becomes dead quiet. Let me take over. The atmosphere in the room has completely changed. She's already put herself together and stood up. Now she's walking towards you. At Vulgar, what the fuck just happened? Guess the show's over. Everyone relax and go home. I was almost ready to come, bros. Hostage, I
God
swear
damn
on my
it.
father's grave, one day I will find you and kick the everlasting shit out of you.
After every line she delivers, she changes her voice, the way she puts her lips together, and even the way she moves. You've caught glimpses of her acting this way, but only now have you started to figure it out. What the hell just happened? 1 second. Wait a minute. Does that mean... Miss Point du Lac, I'm immortal, I'm bored, I'm separated from most vampires in the city by a generational chasm, and I'm so goddamn lonely. The internet used to be my only friend. Years ago, I started researching Tulpa's collective unconsciousness, all the mumbo-jumbo at the intersection of psychology and spirituality, and decided to experiment. The show was fake. A few years later, I was an Instagram fashionista, a successful erotic model, a vital part of pop culture commentariat, a viral shit poster, a cryptocurrency expert. All of my internet selves started signal boosting each other, paving the way for new ones. I became a one-woman empire surrounded by legions of psycho fans. The chat was fake. Some may think of it as dissociative identity disorder, but that's bullshit. Everyone has online alter egos they buried. I just resurrected them, gave birth to new ones, and let them crossbreed. Her constant tapping at the phone, even during the show, somehow she is capable of impersonating an entire chat room. I don't even have a self that could dissociate or be mentally ill. I'm a host, a living database. I live because I find it fun to be an information conduit to process trends and support the ones I deem worthy. There was no masquerade violation. She was showing off her skills all along. She put you into a world of pure fiction, the same way she was testing you back when she attacked you from the back. Damn, she's good at this. Of course, you can just ignore what I'm saying and decide I'm just another deranged... How do you say it again?
Malkavian.
Malkavian. But hey, annihilation of the self is the only way to survive in the 21st century. If there was ever an era that demanded images of beautiful people transcending beyond humanity and inspiring others to do the same, it's this one. Although for now, because of the Masquerade, my audience is quite limited. Speaking of, you want to be the star of my next movie?
Fucking Malkavian.
Okay. So it was all fake. You want to be the star in my next movie? Sure, why not? Hell no. Let's She was the chat.
I told you they were bad shit.
Yeah.
This is the kind of bullshit they do.
If there was never a real masquerade violation, I'm just gonna hold off.
Need some time to mull it over? Sure. No, sorry to disappoint. But yeah, your test is over. Now the question is, do I want to work with you? She puts away her phone for the first time since you've met her and gives you a good hard look. I guess I can give it a shot, yeah. You're not that dumb, you're not that boring, and you're kind of cute. Don't worry, no more modding jobs. Mods get attached, and it's always bad news. She grabs your arm and starts leading you out of her room. I put you through enough shit. Next time I'll let you in on a little job I'm doing. We'll hit the streets and we'll see why Sophie told you to contact me. She leads you through a labyrinth of gray corridors. It's a different route than the ones you made your way through in. The city is so much more than what its elites consider real. Stick with me and I'll guide you to places Camarilla elders couldn't reach in 100 years. She leads you out of the building into the back alleys. Even if someone else rules the streets, we will rule the information highways. This is the power of hope. She lets out a theatrical laugh and disappears. You don't even notice when she leaves you alone, but you assume everything went as well as it could. A new ally, the power of hope. As you walk off into the night, everything around you feels a little less tangible than it did a few hours ago.
And I'm guessing I can still check out. Yeah, you need to rest, so I can't check them out. I think I might actually end it off here.
Really, hey, it's a good place to stop.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here. That was interesting. I still don't know how I feel about this. It's weird.
The setting's fun, at least in my opinion. I actually don't know a lot about the stuff this is based on because I only know the older shit.
I know fuck all about Vampire the Masquerade or anything involving this franchise, whatever.
You basically got all the basics. I think the only thing, and I don't even know if it's still in 5e, is there are like fucked up vampire philosophies. You know how like they explain you always need to feed, but there's also the beast threatening to drive you crazy if you feed too much or too little. So they have like different like ways of thinking that will keep them sane. Like I know some vampires make it their life mission to find like criminals and people who they are view as sinners and make their lives a living hell. Basically, they're like, we're the punishers of the damned kind of bullshit.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I don't know if, like, the other two routes are any different. I'm guessing the difference is where you start. I don't know.
You mean like the vampire thing you picked up at the start? I think that would affect your powers and personality a little. Because, like, you know how, like, the big one I brought up earlier is how you puked up the blood. You can't, because you picked that clan, you can't just drink anyone's blood. You're basically really pretentious because of it. You need that quality shit.
Essentially, like, hold on. Essentially, I'm assuming that whatever you choose is how you start, but everything ends up being the same.
I won't know. I don't actually completely know. I haven't played it. I've only seen like a let's play of it. But I'm sure that like the one you pick would affect your powers.
Yeah.
Like Triador is like your current sponsor, and they're much more on like the controlling the room, having that like artistic bullshit.
Yeah.
And Bruja are like the most physical punchy.
And then when it comes to like the art style of some things, I've always kind of been a little bit picky about like aesthetics. It's not for me. I don't care for I don't care for the aesthetic direction of this game.
I get that. It's like whenever I talk to Deco about Bloodborne, how he's like, I don't like the you know, like Victorian era Lovecraft aesthetic, and I'm like, I get that.
Like, the art is pretty. It's just, it's not for me. And maybe I'm just not used to, like, again, because I don't play a lot of visual novels, even though I have a couple. I feel like I'm just reading. Like,
yeah.
I'll probably try to continue it for the sake of continuing it. But, like, right now nothing's like, bam, like this. I want this right now. Like, right now, like, when I started streaming, I was like, I want to be done by around 4 o'clock. And it's around 4 o'clock, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done here. I'm not just like, fuck yeah, I want to keep doing this more. And maybe it's just because I haven't played a lot of visual novels and things like that. I don't know how I feel about this. It was kind of fun, yeah, to like read and do the things, but even just like doing what I was doing for Sophie, I was like, is this voice a little too like airy, dreamy, and it's getting me sleepy, or am I fucking bored?
It could be. It's a thing that happens with a lot of like visual novel games and some RPGs, at least for me, it's just priming you on a shit ton of information. Of like, here's being a vampire. Here's how it works. Here are some rules. Like a lot of what Hope just did was list off a shit ton of rules to you. And lore dump on the difference between this and the older editions. It's like I have a hard time restarting like Persona 4 and some of those games because I'm like, oh my god, this intro takes like an hour of just reading.
So I'll see how I feel about jumping into this again at another time. I do have some other games now that I'm on the computer again, and now I don't have to worry about like my D drive being fucking dumb. 1 second.
What games you got? You got good shit?
I got Phasmophobia. I do have Detention. I keep telling Deco to play Detention because I got him that game like last year. And funny enough, he was like, I haven't played many spoopy games. So, and I was like, how about the one I fucking got you last year? How about you play that spoopy game? Because he's not really played many spooky games this month. I'll see again how I feel about playing this again. I don't hate it. But right now, nothing's like really jiving with me to be like, fuck yeah, I want like this. I'm not absorbed into it.
After sitting down and like joining in on this, it's less making me want to be like, yeah, Squeaky, do this again. I'm like, I just want to fucking buy the book. I want to just run a game with this bullshit.
There's a module?
Yeah, no, this is a whole, this is based off a tabletop game.
Oh.
Like, the whole setting is.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm probably gonna wrap up stream here. I have to shower, I have to fix my hair, I have to set up dinner, and then sleep for work at 5 a.m.
Oh god, that sounds awful.
Huh? Huh?
That sounds awful.
That's my life now. That's just my life
I pray for you.
That's my life. Wake up at 5 a.m., work at 6, get out at 3, and then think about the rest of the day, man. Alrighty then, though. I am gonna try to like do maybe some regular streaming. I want to try to make my stream days Saturdays and Tuesdays. Because obviously we can't Sunday or Monday. I can't Wednesday. Sooner or later, Thursdays will not be a viable option. And Fridays, while they are potentially open, I still have to work at like 6 a.m. on Saturdays. Whereas Saturday onto Sunday, I can sleep in a little bit more because instead of waking up at 5 a.m. on Sundays, I get to wake up at 6. So
when I get into the rhythm of streaming, everybody else starts. We're gonna have to start knife fighting for hours.
I don't know. If I just know that it's really good for stream health and growth to have a consistent schedule, having days that it's like, this is when I can watch this person streaming. So
oh yeah, that's why I've been trying to be consistent too.
And with Tuesdays, I'll at least be doing them in the daytime because I can't afford to do them any later than a certain point if I want to have a good full stream. And again, it's not going to stop other people from streaming. We can overlap. It's fine. It's just what I kind of want to do. Just kind of like how Tristan wants to stream at least 2 to 3 times a week. It's like I want to stream at least 2 to 3 times a week. But we'll see.
No, I get that.
We'll
what I've been trying to do too.
Yeah, so we'll see how things go. But I'm gonna leave you all there. I think Phantom is streaming, so let's give Phantom a quick raid. The Prince. Actually, is that her? I don't know if that's actually her Twitch handle. Hold on, let me make sure. Streams. Yeah, it is the Prince Phantom. So we're gonna, even though most of you guys are probably at Phantoms, we're gonna give Phantom a raid. And apparently she's playing Grounded, and I'm guessing that involves spiders. I don't know. So give her...
it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys give her some love there, and I'll see y'all next time. Maybe I'll be there. I don't know. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.